Defining Duke is brought to you by Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke and support the show by saying you heard about it here on this podcast. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers. So if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Duke or dial #law #529 from your cell phone. That's FORthepeople.com/Duke or #law #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 128 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I am joined by the man with the most wonderful shirts in the industry, Lord Cognito, rocking that in Exile shirt. Love it. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Doing better. Back from the trip, trying to get settled in on time zones and getting back into my flow. You know, I had to set a little in Exile Love Plus Pride Month, so I had to set a lot to my peoples. You know what I mean? So, we got a lot to talk about. And I got a lot to catch up on. There's still stuff I got to catch up on.
We do, man. This episode is arguably bigger than last week's episode, or really not last week, our previous episode. We've done 2 this week. I'm losing track of everything we're doing here. But we have so much, from interviews with Todd Howard to the Xbox Showcase Extended with new announcements there. One in particular was quite significant in my opinion. We have even updates on the Activision Blizzard deal. We couldn't go a week without it. Even in the midst of all this great stuff, we have more on that. Just so much going on in the world of Xbox and a lot to be excited about. You'd be forgiven if you forgot that just a month ago we were very doom and gloom. So with that, let's enjoy things while they're great, I suppose, and kick this show off. We got a lot to go over. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, you're interested in supporting the Dukes, you can go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Get early access to shows like this. Last week's, I keep saying it, our previous episode earlier this week went live for free to everybody immediately following the showcase. We really wanted to be on top of that, having that conversation, because we loved what was there in that showcase, and we'll talk more about that this week. But first, let's catch up with some mobile reviews, shall we? Just a handful. We're back to bothering you all. We're not too busy now, so we can start harassing you once more and saying, hey, get in there on your Apple, your phones, and start leaving those reviews, boosting the Dukes. We're doing great again. We really appreciate those of you who have helped us, just like Johnny Lamotte, who writes, I love the podcast, helps me get through the work days, but at any chance Xbox might see or hear this, new Banjo game, please. And thank you. Well, unfortunately, that was a prediction I got wrong. And you too, Johnny. So, but thank you for your review.
Yeah, a lot of people looking for it. Looking for it.
We got another one here from Mo Yaz. It says, defining excellence, a Mo Yaz review. Show is so fire. Sacred Symbols looks trash in comparison. Whoa now. Do not attack the older brother.
It's the whole team. Come on now. Don't do that to the whole team. Salute to the Sacred Boys. Don't do that. We can coexist.
It's in good love and fun here. But this one, not so much. This comes from Thunder Splash. We get a 1-star here, Cog.
1 star. Let's go.
1 star. Hey, podcast idiots, if ad reads are more than 10 seconds, I am not hearing one word of that ad. Very interesting here.
We're supposed to do this for free. We're supposed to take all the time out of our day and, for the kindness of our heart, just talk to them for 4 hours and no revenue is supposed to happen. I respect that.
No money for us. We don't eat here at Defining Duke.
You know what I'm saying? Just, you got to slave labor for the community.
Xbox fans are known to starve, so it only makes sense that you'd think this, right? But Anyway, we appreciate you following up with that. For those who are ever curious about ads, I'm happy to educate a little bit. They usually I don't handle the Defining Duke ads at all. I just read what's sent my way. But in the terms of when I get sent them on my channel, they usually define like how long you want. Like some want 30 seconds, some want a short, some want social stuff, some want 60 seconds. So it's usually defined, and no one's ever going to pay for 10 seconds on a 3+ hour show. So it's not worth their money at that point. Just a little heads up for those who are curious.
Just anyway, about the business.
We appreciate those of you who are invested in us from top to bottom, including our shitty ads.
How dare they?
Mr. Snubbles, next review here. These dudes make me feel like the Xbox community is so welcoming and warm and all pushing towards the same things. Both are very real and will give Xbox the smoke when needed, but also speak as fans of the platform. I moved to New Jersey from California. After being here for about 7 to 8 years now, these dudes' East Coast speech patterns make me feel like I'm talking to two friends that I've made out here. Keep on killing it. Only onward and upward swings from here, baby. P.S. Go Padres. Uh-oh.
I mean,
we'll allow it.
We'll allow it for now. I love the Jersey love, the East Coast love. Came back, and I can respect the person that gets our little nuances, our East Coast nuances.
For sure. And we got one more. We're going to go through. So please continue to submit them. We'll catch up with the rest of you next week. Satisfied listener 1, right? It sounds like my friend and I are talking about games, and that's the best compliment I can give. Just two homies talking about something they love. Easy to pull me in and make me want to listen to more. One thing I would love for there to be would be timestamps on their episodes. It's hard to commit to 4 hours every week, so being able to skip around that would be a godsend. Other than that, keep up the good work, fellas. Hey, we got you covered over on YouTube. There are little timestamps there. On mobile, we can't do it because there are ads that are automatically injected by the network, apparently. So on top of the stuff we already record. So the timestamps are always shifting. They'd be different per show. But if you want the more hard, rigid ones, you can go to the YouTube version. We've got you covered over there. But thank you still, nonetheless, for your 5-star review, and to everyone else who continues to write in and support the Dukes. I mean, right now, if you look us up on Chartable, Cog.
What are we doing?
Don't look now. Top 30 in Great Britain, top 30 in the United States for video games.
Okay.
Top 100 for Canada for video games.
Come on, Canada.
And we're creeping into the top 100 for just leisure in America, which is pretty nice company to be in. So we're doing really well.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're doing really well. And we're almost at 1,000 reviews, 4.9 out of 5 stars. We're doing great. So we appreciate you all. This has definitely been the year of the Dukes, and that's thanks to everyone who's supported us. So just before we got into the thick of everything Xbox, wanted to send our audience a lot of love, both patrons, free listeners. We're just happy you're here and letting us do our thing and embracing us for who we are. It's much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Let's set the tone a little bit more. Snack Squatch writes in with something I saw a number of times in the comments for our last episode, as well as in the Patreon post. Hey guys, I've been mainly a PlayStation Nintendo gamer my whole life. I own a Series S because I got it for very cheap, but haven't really touched it. After this showcase and doing some research on the Game Pass library, I think I might pull the trigger. With my Switch being a primary first-party machine and my PlayStation turning into a third-party machine, I'm not a fan right now of where PlayStation is heading under Jim Ryan and what their first party has to offer this gen so far. I think it may be time to explore what Xbox has to offer. Thanks for all you guys do. So, Cog, you've mentioned this a lot, that gamers are, very back and forth, right? I think last month it was very easy to not want to buy an Xbox. This month, though, a lot of people want one. So what lesson have we learned here after Redfall and a pretty powerful showcase? What would be a good takeaway from this kind of vibe shift we're seeing?
I think the game industry is ebbs and flows. I've always said that, no generation is truly the same. Some people have, extraordinary track records, and that's always to be respected. But it's also like a show me, prove it to me league. What have you done now kind of league? And I think what we've seen is that from the PlayStation side, Nintendo's going to be Nintendo. They're in their unique box. They do what they do. They move how they want. I think what we've seen from the PlayStation side is that they have now tried to incorporate games as a service in addition to their tremendous library. And then with Xbox, now you're seeing that first party lineup. what is really going on and the fruits of that. And now we're seeing tangible visual evidence. Okay, this is what that is. This is what they're working on. And now you see the excitement buzzing. And they showed well. I would very curious to see what Snack Squatch's what was the motivators? I'm very curious. I felt NXL was outside. I felt, let's be honest, the talk around these streets is that Starfield.
Yeah,
so I'm seeing a lot of people who were extremely skeptical of Xbox after seeing that showcase and saying, I cannot miss this game. This feels generation defining, and I need to be a part of it and see if they can execute that. So I think that's what we're seeing. I think that's what we've learned, that in due time, things are now playing out. And this is a great time to jump into the ecosystem. Now you start to see the fruits of the future and how bright it potentially could be.
absolutely. Yeah, we've said for a while on this show that Starfield is the most important exclusive Xbox will ever have to launch, and for it to show as strong as it did for as long as it did too, really speaks to, I think, a lot of the shift in energy and excitement for this brand, among many other things. I said for a while that with PlayStation saying they anticipated a number of live service games being injected into their library, it is, given the fact that it is, as you described, what have you done for me lately kind of league, that despite all that they've delivered since the PS4 generation, when that onslaught of live service comes, it's unfortunately not going to matter. And we know that because as Xbox fans, we got a lot of live servicey style games. And now we're getting the kind of, if you will, they got to deliver the quality, of course, but from the outside looking in, that onslaught of just single player games, like all of those things we saw were single player, which is tremendously exciting across all this first party. They're getting to really chase after what they want to do. So I think that's why now, once we get into 2024 and hopefully these games are delivering, maybe Redfall can turn into a valuable lesson and a blip on the radar. We'll get into how, based off some things Matt Booty and Phil Spencer have been saying, it looks like what happened with that launch is being incorporated quite quickly into how they show things off. Again, we'll talk about that more, but wanted to set the tone there. And also, issue a correction. CT Fire writes in, hey, Mr. Maddie and Cog, I have a small correction. This is actually a big one, but I appreciate you being humble here. Maddie, on the last episode, you said that Fable had a 2024 release date. However, there was not a release date in the new trailer. Unless you have heard something from a source, the release window has not been publicly stated. Thanks for a quick turnaround in your coverage of the showcase last week. I hope you all have a relaxing rest of the week. Thank you. We appreciate that. This was just my mistake. I don't know how or when or where I thought I saw this or why, but I was incorrect on this. Fable is not coming out in 2024. I double checked after seeing this because I believed it. I was like, yeah, I could see I may have just tripped up on this one, but it does not have a release window as of this moment in time.
For some reason, I thought the same thing too, so don't feel bad. For whatever reason,
I don't know what it was. I feel like when I dug through the information, I'm like, did I see it somewhere and I just missed it? Or are we just assuming, given everything else was 2024, that this may be in that window? Because Clockwork Revolution and Fable would be the main ones that didn't get windows. So it's definitely worth accounting for. I double checked the trailer at the end. I didn't see 2024. I checked a number of articles and they were all saying no release date. So yeah, I guess I was just going crazy. And because the thing is, the worst thing you can do and is come out, issue a correction, be like, yeah, I got this wrong. And then someone writes it is actually, you got it right. So then you got to come back next week and issue a secondary correction. But
no, you're right.
Yeah, no Fable in 2024. Maybe though. We'll see. I don't think it would be crazy to imagine this coming out holiday next year, but we'll see. The game looks great visually though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despite all the crazy complaints about how the
I'm assuming we're gonna get into that at some point.
We got news on everything from that was shown at that showcase. Let's start off with the Black Rock, shall we? They have opened up on Avowed in an interview with PC Gamer featuring Fergus Urquhart. There was also one with Carrie Patel that I'll highlight here, but we're just going to kind of read what was there in this article. So originally, we were pitching, in essence, our Skyrim. I think over the course of time, as we worked on it, Bethesda makes an awesome Skyrim, Mojang makes an awesome Minecraft, and Turn 10 makes an awesome racing game, says Urquhart, referencing a handful of Obsidian sister studios at Microsoft. What we do is make awesome RPGs, right? The article continues. The feeling then was that Obsidian were better served not following Bethesda's example of a grand open world, but instead staying true to what Obsidian games should be. Quote, that's when we backed up and said again, what are we good at? What's our lane? End quote. We could go off and create an 8 kilometer by 8 kilometer open world and then deal with all the consequences of that, because that makes it a different style game. But we wanted to tell more confined stories that the player can experience with their companions and then move from part of the world to part of the world. And like I said, in the end, that's us. Every game development process for every title is this chain of ideation, iteration, and polish, says Avowed director Carrie Patel, reflecting on how the scope of Avowed has changed over the years. Sometimes you realize the way you're building is not quite living up to the experience you want to create. And so in iteration and refinement, you say, well, how do we create the experience that we want to deliver to our players, and particularly a studio? How do we deliver on what we're really good at specifically? I think where Obsidian really shines as an RPG maker is with this really evocative, nuanced world building, stories that are more focused on depth and breadth, and really thoughtful quest design that rewards experimentation and exploration from players, that gives them a sense of agency, and that gives them a meaningful set of options with how they interact with the world. Josh Tarpley writes in, hello, Sandwich Hoarder Maddie and Ichi Buns Cog. Did you guys see the PC Gamer article on Avowed? In it, Fergus Urquhart confirms that while the project started as their take on Skyrim, they have since redirected development to be a more focused Obsidian game. The game will not be full-on open world. It will have a heavy emphasis on companion relationships and storylines. This is all great news for me and only makes me more excited for the game. I don't need every game to be 100-hour open world epic. What say you? So, Cog, the Black Rock is honing the focus. We're not Skyrim. We're doing a traditional Obsidian Outer World style game. They said, and we'll talk about this later in the Xbox Showcase Extended, but I think it's important context here. It'd be more in line with the Outer Worlds and KOTOR 2 in the terms of hub to hub to hub with more meaningful quest content there, and I imagine replayability. So is this music to your ears, or were you hoping for something more Skyrim-like?
I'll be honest, because, when we first heard of Avowed, the initial assumption was, okay, this is their take on Skyrim, right? So I'm not going to lie to you, Matt. At first, there was a slight level of disappointment, only from the standpoint of what I thought the scope could be. And there was an excitement to see them to have their take on it. But I've always been a fan of kind of the hub world, or if you want to say the Mass Effect style, very intricate, specific areas, planets, things of that nature, locales. And then this is obviously based on Pillars of Eternity universe, kind of dealing in this one specific thing. And then you tell richer stories. And here's the other thing. We've heard rumors of them having a shift in development early, right? And we've heard many things about what could be potentially in this game and what can be. But what I look at it also, here's the other benefit of this kind of, I don't want to say super reduced scope, but a more refined scope, is that you get more graphical fidelity. For as great as we all feel Starfield is and potentially could be, one of the nitpicks, obviously, the frames or whatever, right? So to me, the benefit of that is you can go a little bit more hyper realistic with graphics. And we've heard rumblings about Obsidian wanting to really show out with Avowed on that level. I've heard that kind of talk. So look, I thought their presence at the I didn't get a chance to watch all the extended showcases after the first one, but I did watch the Avowed one, and I like what they had to say as far as the combat experiences, dual wielding, the magic, the spell building, everything in an Pillars universe, and the companions really excite me. I love Outer Worlds. So if you're going to give me, last part I'll say, if you're going to give me a Skyrim-like Out of Worlds, I'm all in. You know what I mean? So I'm willing to give it a shot. I think not everything has to be 100 hours. At first, yes, did I think this was going to be there? I thought maybe they would take a shot at it, but I'm okay with it. I want to see what Avowed is before I make this full judgment on, this ain't, Skyrim, so now it's out, kind of a thing. So I'm curious where you say, because I know you watch a little bit of stuck a couple videos in Mr. Maddie Plays when I could. So I'm curious, now that the dust has settled, you've watched the trailer, you've watched the extended showcase, you're seeing the articles, you're seeing where they're coming from. Where's Maddie now with all of this?
I will answer that in one moment. I just wanted to add some additional information here from a separate article, because it'll create some context to my thoughts. This is from a separate PC Gamer exclusive article they got, where it says, Patel would not spill much about Avowed's story, but did give some basics on what form of RPG to expect from Avowed. They said, this is all bullet pointed. You will have an established role as an Imperial envoy, but your personality, appearance, and philosophy and vibe you bring to that role is up to you as a player to decide. You play as a human or elf, but not other races. It's purely single player, no co-op. This is something a lot of people are worried about seeing the companions, but it is purely single player. The world is lightly systemic. Think water and lightning interactions, but not the old bucket on the head trick. You'll have 2 companions with you at a time with their own combat specialties and, of course, personalities. There are several ability trees to progress through, and you won't be locked to a particular class or playstyle. You will level up, but the focus is on unlocking abilities rather than putting points into stats to grow stronger. I just want to continue a little bit more here because it does get into combat. Early in development, when Obsidian decided to prioritize a story more focused on depth than breadth, the first-person combat ended up benefiting too. Patel said that it was an example of a piece of Avowed that was surprisingly fun in their first vertical slice, a time when the team has decided on what to commit more resources to and what to scale back on. Combat became a key focus, which should be music to the ears of every Elder Scrolls player who always found the sword swinging a bit wimpy in those games. Our combat has come along really, really well, and the bones have been there since the beginning, she said. Patel cited a lot of time spent tuning the feeling of swinging a sword versus a mace versus an axe to make combat feel right, but the options available to players seem like more significant elements at play here. You're free to dual-wield weapons, both magic and melee simultaneously, as in Pillars of Eternity, there are some old-timey guns available. When I brought up how bored I am of game loot with imperceptible stat differences with one sword to another, she said that's been on her mind too. The way we've tried to approach that is erring on the side of fewer but meaningful upgrades. If you're upgrading your weapon from one tier to the next, you should feel the difference. If it's a small number change next to your item, then that's not going to feel as meaningful as going through an upgrade process, trying your weapon again, and realizing it's doing a lot more damage. Fewer but meaningful upgrade tiers. So I say all of that because I think it's valuable information for the listener, but also to me, you put it beautifully earlier, it's kind of like Fantasy the Outer Worlds. And I prefer that style of RPG. Like, I think Bethesda does a very particular style of open world well that scratches an itch of mine because of the focus on interactivity and role-playing mechanics. Most times the latter. Sometimes they've dialed that back with like Fallout 4 and 76, right. But they have a good flow for exploration, and the only one who's really followed that up in a good way has been Obsidian. But the way Obsidian separated themselves is what they've done with the Outer Worlds, what they've done with KOTOR, which are these style of games I've always grown up on. You know, I love the hubs that are more meaningful and transformative. Like the first hub you're in the Outer Worlds has like 4 different endings based off how you approach the quest line, and each are as ridiculous as the other. And as creative as the other. So to have Avowed kind of be this next gen version of that is exciting, because if I did have one complaint about the Outer Worlds, it was the combat. The combat and the AI wasn't fantastic, and I was really there for the dialogue and the branching storylines. But to see Avowed being more companion driven, which by the way, so was the Outer Worlds. Yes. But they said they're bringing it more closer in line with the main story. And they suggested that you may be able to kill off your party members. So I imagine they're going to play a big factor in your choices rather than the Outer Worlds where everyone's kind of following you. But still, the Outer Worlds had 2 companions with you at a time with their own special abilities. So I think they're just using those. I mean, that's how Obsidian's breaking out these games quickly. That's why I think Jez said up until 2028, they could have a game every year, because they're reusing their tools from old games and in smart ways. Like, I'm totally fine with Avowed using the sensibilities of the Outer Worlds and some of the guts from that game and its role-playing mechanics, and then saying, let's just refine a really dope melee magic system on top of that. That speaks to me. But even away from the game development perspective, you know, we don't get, I feel, many genuine Elder Scrolls appearing competitors. We get games that take nods from it. Like I think of the Hinterlands from Dragon Age Inquisition as a clear nod to Skyrim, but that was about it. It was in visuals only. Obsidian is the only one who's been able to walk the walk next to Bethesda in my eyes. So that's why it's exciting, because I don't want another Skyrim. No one's going to make another Skyrim except Bethesda Game Studios, who did it themselves, right? I would rather Obsidian not chase the trend, which we've caught a lot of studios doing, and play to their strengths. That's what we see oftentimes with these companies. They get away from what made us care about them in the first place. And I get the excitement, you know, the big budget, the showing out, what can we do? But I like that they're reflective even in this state right now where they're kind of in a can't do any wrong type of perspective. and that they've really seemed to be nailing something here. So I can't wait to see more. I'm very excited for the Outer Worlds.
Yeah, you nailed it. And I think
Did I say Outer Worlds? Avowed.
Freudian slip. For Avowed, you know.
Hey,
but,
bring on Outer Worlds too. Yeah, why not?
Hey, bro, hey, I'm all for it. You know, at the end of the day, it's like he said, Fergus said, you have to stick to your strength, what you do best. The thing that they do best is like the density of the worlds, the questing, the dialogue, the talking, the choices, the possibilities, all the different things that you can see in a playthrough. And the thing that's really key for me is those companions, because I do like the fact that when you approach situations, certain things like, for example, Outer Worlds, Pravarti or Vicar Max will speak for you when there's something that is concerning, and then you can get their expertise and so on and so forth. It's more of a personal, and I gotta be real, like Obsidian games have a feel and a humor and a tone that I really appreciate. Yeah. And I think it's more personal. Not saying that Skyrim and that stuff is, it's just that it's so vast that I don't feel you get into the complexities of relationships the way Obsidian games do. But yeah, it's personal choice. But I love what they said. We're going to let them do what they do. We do what we do. And we're going to now put it in this style. I'm with you. I'm dying to see how that plays out. And I love that character who was narrating in the trailer. Because he kind of scared of the main character. Like, I don't know if I should trust you. Yeah. You're so damn powerful. But, you know, and they kind of expounded upon that in the direct showcase about that. And I love their characters. I always felt they have very unique, strong personalities that you either want to bond with or you hate for whatever reason. It's kind of fun.
Play to your studio DNA, but make your inspiration clear, and you'll be in a position of strength every time. I think of Spiders with Greedfall. They're like, we want to do what BioWare does, and I think they did just that, but it felt very much its own thing because of the way they built that world out. So yeah, I totally respect where Obsidian went with it. Michael G has a quick question we can just dive into, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Hello, gents. After our first real look at Avowed, there's been a lot of fuss made about the art style, but the comments made by devs seem more concerning. They stated that they didn't want to be Skyrim and instead pivoted to something more Obsidian-esque. Are you worried that this means a massive reduction in scope? Do you worry that this will be able to smell a small budget on it when it releases? Are we going to get another B- Outer Worlds, but with swords and magic? Starfield is giving us vibes like we haven't had since 2011. Cog, I'm wondering if you feel the same. A lot of people very concerned about this shift, if you will, in art style from what we were presented in the main CG trailer, and if that shift spells concern on a number of levels to you.
I'll reiterate again, you know, I rewatched that trailer now 3 times, and from what I've seen, again, is there colorful areas and diverse biomes that are brighter? Absolutely. But I saw caverns, I saw dark areas as well. So I think people are really confusing color palette just when they see that with, oh, it's Outer Worlds and this. And I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And the thing about, I'm going to tell you what's really going on. This was real. I got to put respect. BlackRock, I love y'all. But Starfield showed out so hard that everybody remembers now. Bethesda and what Bethesda do. And now people are like, oh yeah, that's the God, they're back. You know what I mean? Like so you remember why you fell in love with this vast, you know, immense scope game. But you got to remember, only one team really do that. So we got to put respect on Todd Howard and Bethesda for what they do. But by no means does that diminish what Obsidian is about to do. So that it's just different styles. And I think that's what's happening here. And people are really trying to minimize Avowed. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not buying it. I'm not going for it. The game looks phenomenal. If you want to say, the only thing I will say, yeah, you want to say certain things look hyper detailed, hyper realistic. Other things maybe not as much. But to me, this is still in development. This is still early. We still got ways to go. And it was nothing that turned me off that I'm like, nah, I don't know about that one, you know, kind of thing. Now, the one that I'm not seeing getting the smoke that I'm surprised is, as we talked about last Duke, Hellblade. Not that it graphically looked bad, but what did they show? You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And I think Avowed is getting a bad rap for that. I'm super excited for Avowed.
I agree. Defining Duke is brought to you by Indeed. If you're hiring for your own business, you're basically playing Fallout 4 on survival mode, right? No fast travel, you're making it intentionally difficult just because you can. Guess what? Take a breath, and if you're hiring, you need Indeed. Here is why. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring platform that can help you do it all. They streamline hiring with powerful tools that help you find matched candidates, and with Instant Match, over 80% of employees get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data from the US. One of the reasons I personally like Indeed is because the candidates that you invite to apply are 3 times more likely to apply to your job than candidates who see it in search, according again to US Indeed data. So, what are you waiting for? Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Duke. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Duke. Just go to Indeed.com/Duke and support the show by saying you heard about it here on this podcast. Indeed.com/Duke. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Defining Duke is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. I have a buddy of mine who occasionally will watch my content. They hear enough of my thoughts on their own, so they don't need to really watch the videos, but they noticed that for Defining Duke, we had Morgan & Morgan as a sponsor, and they got into this story about one time how they slipped and fell at work and how the employer did not deal with it in the best way and how they kind of wish they knew about Morgan & Morgan. So if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. They have over 100 offices nationwide and more than 800 lawyers. With over $15 billion recovered for clients, Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. Submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan is so easy, it's more like using an app than hiring a lawyer. And with Morgan & Morgan, you can submit a claim without ever having to leave your couch. In less than 8 clicks, you can submit a claim to Morgan & Morgan. So, if you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Duke or dial #law #529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Duke or #law #529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement. I think Avowed had one of the most meaningful showings, and I get if people felt it was not what they wanted it to be, but I don't think color means no seriousness at all in this world. I don't know where we got that from, truly. And I don't say that to be demeaning to anyone who feels that way. I understand if you looked at the original CG trailer, you're like, yeah, I was hoping for something like this, but a colorful world doesn't spell that there's no disaster here. And I mean, Skyrim, especially with Special Edition, there are some super saturated areas in that game, and color makes the visuals pop. Like it's grabby, it keeps your attention. It's down to a science, y'all. So I'm not really too perplexed or worried when I saw the art style. I will say there were certain parts of the trailer that look better than others, but that's the unfinished nature of the game, I'm hoping. And that's where I will keep a closer eye on things, because there were shots that looked very refined. There were shots that I'm like, what happened here? Hold on. Why does this look worse? So we'll see in due time, but we have plenty more to talk about. We're going to stick with visuals, actually, Cog.
Let's go.
It was confirmed that Playground Games lead lighting artist had said that the Fable trailer that we saw during the showcase was all captured on Xbox Series X, and then doubled down and said that was all gameplay. That a lot of people, dude, we said it last time. I say it again. A lot of people are looking a little foolish right now. Now, you don't got to love what's there, but I'm just saying a lot of people doing the same mistake as Starfield. We'll say CG, bro. And then it's gameplay. And the same thing's happened here. And actually the lead lighting artist said the same thing on Twitter. It's the best compliment that you can get is when someone's trying to roast you and you're showing, and it's like, no, that's actually the game, right? And I know some of y'all, like we talked about this last time, God. We were like, some of those comment boys ain't gonna come back around and say they were wrong. But you can quietly, in your own peace and quiet right now, just go, damn, that's kind of hype. Not gonna lie, that's okay. That's okay. Like that doesn't mean the game is gonna be amazing, but like the Forza tech is showing out here. So, Cog, your thoughts that what we saw was on Series X?
Wow, yeah, they've been consistent, and from what I've heard internally, coming into this show, they were so pumped and hyped about Fable that they were worried about everything else of how it could blow stuff away. And that's how impressive, like everything Matt Booty has said behind the scenes and at PAX and, publicly has proven to be true. Like, like it was like, yo, we can't wait to show this. We can't wait. They need to see. Now I get it. And it's in the engine. Here's the thing that people, I think, are losing sight of. Look, now, if you want to criticize Greeny to the letter of the law that it wasn't a dedicated, full gameplay, just gameplay, okay, fine. If you want to nitpick that you needed to see more gameplay elements, combat elements, okay, you could go. But the thing you can't say is, one, that it wasn't actual representation of in-graphic engine stuff. You can't say that with cinematics. That's been confirmed. They done threw you into the bushes with the actual developer team who's literally combating and laughing at y'all for saying that. The second thing is that if you look at the trailer, there's a couple of times in the timestamp where the protagonist has a sword and there is things going on. Like, you could see the enemies coming. Those sections, there were snippets. They were about maybe 3 to 4 seconds a piece, snuck, kind of sandwiched in the cinematic aspect, in-game cinematic aspect, that I already knew was the actual game. And I'm like, yo. Now, the only mistake I feel they made is maybe they could have drawn those out a little bit more, because that's what's confusing people.
Yep.
People are seeing these quick snippets of gameplay in engine, her walking, enemy talking in the pub or whatever, but then they're seeing, the famous actor, the British actor, and whatever, in game, but not gameplay. So that's the confusion. But testament to them, this playground, bro, like, this game looks phenomenal. Like, it really is. It's to the point now where it's just like, where people are coming up to me like, yo, what's up? Just One, what's up? And I'm like, it's so close.
I have seen a little bit of a pushback on your Just One, man.
They come, and I get it. Like, Fable literally has it. It's just that it exists. If there was no Fable game that exists, it would have been it. So I'm not worried about hashtag Just One, y'all. It's just that, obviously in this case, it is a little small asterisk, but I don't care. Hellblade, Fable, I don't care. When games look like that, that's what people want to see from Series X.
Absolutely. And it really does make it that was it power your dreams motto.
Yes.
It's a little bit more tangible now.
Yes.
But yeah, the game looks fantastic, and I'm very excited to see more. To me, when I imagined seeing Fable the first time, if there's anything that let me down, it was just, I really want to see the elements that make Fable, the choices, the life sim elements, those types of things, a character creator even. I want to see that part of Fable, but I think that direct will be massive whenever that lands.
Yeah, you called it. I think your prediction on how formatting is going to go for Xbox.
Oh, we will get into that.
Oh, well, we'll save
don't
that
worry. Don't worry.
We'll save that.
We got the quotes. We got the receipts.
Let's go.
But first, we have receipts from Phil Spencer. A lot of different comments from him across multiple showings. I wanted to put them all in a batch here. We'll line them up and knock them down. First, he spoke a bit about Square Enix. He says, I remember 5 years ago, it was, when is an Atlas game going to come to Xbox? So it was awesome to see 3 games at the Xbox Game Showcase. Capcom announcing a new IP on the stage, also coming to Game Pass, which was great. And I say all that, and then I look at my friends at Square Enix and say, oh, come on, I got to get on an airplane again. Mike Poe writes in, Dearest Dukes, did the two of you hear or read about Phil Spencer's conversation with Giant Bomb after the Xbox Showcase, in which he acknowledged that there was work to be done with Square Enix? He noted the progress that's been made with Capcom and Atlas, but made a reference to needing to get on an airplane to see Square Enix more. To me, this shows Xbox is committed to working on its Japanese games shortage, but do you all agree? So, Hog, what are our thoughts that, I'll be talking Square Enix later with Final Fantasy 16's demo, but what are our thoughts that the grandfathers of the JRPG, a little bit tough to get a hold of compared to 3-time showing Atlas on stage?
Yeah, this is great stuff, because I'm so glad Phil said this publicly, because now I can talk. Because behind the scenes, oh boy, they are chirping on the executive level about not displeasure, but frustration. Yes. With Square Enix specifically. So to hear Phil come out and say, hey, like, come on, bro, like, don't make them have to fly out there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it goes to show you that whatever the disconnect is, they're clearly aware of it. They are determined to fix it. And I was very vocal about when I was out there, you know me, I don't tell you what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. Like even when they would gassing me, I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but that's cool. But even when they're like, oh, people telling me, grown man tears. I will say grown man tears for Starfield, no question.
Yeah,
But
of course.
overall, my rating based on the thing, I still said it was a strong show, but I had it in that 8.5 kind of range. I had my nitpicks for whatever. But anyway, long story short, with this, I was like, look, the strides in Japan have been tremendous. I want to give credit, right? Come out there, 3 Atlas games. It's more than cloud. You're knocking down all these barriers slowly but surely. But we got these, the big ones missing the platform, namely Square. And yeah, Maddie, they were called out specifically.
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting. So hopefully something is bubbling and something is on the horizon to whatever needs to be corrected to correct. Yeah. So that's what I heard is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he said it too, because I was aware that, like, I think I've said this before, but I can get into greater detail. I know specifically execs at Xbox were very disappointed about Octopath 2. That was one that was like if I could describe it, it was a, what? Are you kidding? Kind of like that energy, like why? So that was apparently a Square Enix choice. And yeah, the frustration definitely is real when it comes to this company. And I don't know who to really point the finger at this point anymore. But if just one is willing to make the trip and make things right, then I've got to kind of take their side on things here, because there's no denying that there is strength to Square Enix JRPGs. Square Enix as a whole, they're kind of hitting and missing lately. But when it comes to their JRPGs, I just think, if Xbox wants to solidify their Japanese presence, they need the icons. And they've got some of them now with Persona. Like they're getting there for sure. But I hope they can figure it out with Square Enix. But that seems to be taking Square Enix to cooperate, which we don't know if they're willing to. And what I've heard and seen is just like sometimes they're just not, which is frustrating to see.
Yeah.
Now let's talk revenue. Let's talk money. Phil on Xbox's current revenue for the series consoles versus 360. He says, I often get asked, how are you doing? I'll get people who will harken back, some people in this room, to the Xbox 360 years as being the heyday of Xbox. And I was there, and I love what Xbox 360 meant for where we are today. But for you to understand our business right now from a revenue standpoint, it is about twice the size it was during the Xbox 360 generation. How do we feel about that? Because a lot of people still sizing up the console sales, but what do you make of that? So the industry has naturally grown, but in between then and now was a particular disastrous generation. So what's our thoughts, Cog?
This is funny to me because this is a little bit of a shot. It's not a shot. This is just Cog taking it as a shot because Cog is in his feelings because Cog grew up with Peter Moore. So, historically, we look at the Peter Moore 360 gen as the golden era of Xbox, right? So here comes Phil like, well, the numbers said. Like Phil kind of slapped me in the head like, bro, put respect on my name. And I got to respect it. This is King laughing at me right now, right? Because my guy was Peter, King's guy is Phil. You know what I'm saying? Phil's the homie, don't get me wrong. But I got to be honest, like King saw it before anybody. I, in the beginning, was like, all right, I got to see. I like how he moving, but I got to see. I need to judge him when the fire. And every time, I got to give Phil this. Anytime the back is against the wall, he is now proven on like 3 separate occasions, they've come up with a response that I've seemed to like, especially, like I said, Redfall showcase, Xbox Series launch with the Baron stuff. All of a sudden, here come the Bethesda acquisition. If the ABK deal goes down, oh boy, then that puts you somewhere else right now. You know what I mean? So, and then obviously first party, now we're seeing the fruits of it. So he's looking to have the mantle of the GOAT leadership if he continues in these games. These games got to execute, Phil. I ain't letting you out yet. Peter had the games that had to, but I ain't gonna front. The way Starfield is look like one of them games of the generation, like we talked about. So Phil is on his golden path right now, and that's why I'm laughing at this, because it's like, yeah, you do know we doubled that. We lapped that generation already, and we ain't even cooking. So kudos to him and the team. It's tremendous what they're doing. Just execute, land the plane, make sure the game's good.
Now, you mentioned the Activision deal. Phil
Yes.
wore a certain shirt from an Activision IP during the showcase, and he had some thoughts on it. He said, by the way, the IP was Hexen, for those who don't know. He said, that wasn't me trying to pre-announce it, but it was me recognizing the importance of some of the games in our portfolio. So they're already family at this point in his eyes. He's just like, yeah, it's our portfolio. I'm like, okay, Phil.
Bro, this is what Phil do. Like, Phil is so subtle with it. Like, it's a quiet, sneaky confidence that you gonna know. He gonna put something on that shelf. He gonna do something. He gonna wear a shirt. He gonna let you know it's happening. You know what I mean? And it's just funny to see him in his bag. You know what I mean? That's his "I told you so." Like that's how I always look at him in that respect. Salute to him. You know, it does feel good. Obviously, we see these new developments, about what's going on. We'll get into that.
They're pleased with these new developments, no doubt about
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah,
good
there's a
timing on
lot
that
going on.
shirt. Sure.
Woo, for sure, for sure.
We'll talk about that more in our news section. Last Phil Spencer comment, and then we'll get into something pretty exciting, I think. Phil doesn't think a new Xbox Series X is needed. This is following, of course, the announcement of the 1 terabyte black Xbox Series S going for $350 on September 1st. I'm wondering, Cog, what you make of this, because I know you're the big techie guy compared to both of us. Like, a little fun fact about Maddie, I never bought like a Pro, or I got a 1S, but the reason I got the 1S was Xbox actually sent it to me when Gears 4 came out. But otherwise, like a PS4 Pro, I never bought into these half steps ever. So the only thing I can think of is back with the PS2, I bought the Slim, but that was just to compartmentalize my collection and whatnot, right? It was efficiency. And I'll do the same with the PS5, but no Series X on the horizon, perhaps here. And this might come as a surprise. And I think a little bit bold. We're hearing rumors about a PS5 Pro next year. And if Phil is this confident the Series X is the most powerful console, do you really need an answer to the PS5 Pro?
This is a weird position, because I feel like not that there's a complete role reversal, but I do feel that, obviously we saw the rumors from Tom Henderson that a PlayStation 5 Pro is coming. I'm not necessarily buying Phil all the way right now. I feel like at this moment where the games are about to land, there's no rush for them, right? There's no rush for them to have to go out there and do anything. This is the time to establish the immediate base. But you best believe that the great wizard Jason Ronald and them is already cooking. So even if it doesn't happen as a mid-generation upgrade immediately at the same time as a PS5 Pro, historically, PS4 Pro came out like a year before, and then Series, Xbox One X came out. So I'm not buying it all the way yet. I can't see them letting Sony have the market too long because they've already stated, they've historically stated they will not lose the power narrative. And let's say the PS5 Pro comes out, and those let's say right around the time Wolverine comes out. You meaning to tell me, you know what I mean? Like, they're just going to let that ride. And then when the third party titles come out and those Digital Foundry comparisons come out, you meaning to tell me they going to let that ride? Like, these guys are cooking 3, 4, 5 years. I've had conversations with Jason before in the past. These type of things have been cooking already. I just think he means in the short term, immediate future as of right now. Thus, a Series S with a 1 tera. Listen, once they're hoping ABK because then they can really start moving these existing units and these consoles they want to do.
Absolutely. Well said. So that's enough from Phil. Let's talk about People Can Fly, the developers of Bulletstorm, most recently Outriders, which was the first ever third-party day one Game Pass game, funny enough, in partnership with Square Enix. They're working on a game codenamed Project Maverick, which is said to be based on a Microsoft IP with what sounds like a bit of a smaller budget at $30 to $50 million. And I thought this was really exciting, Cog, because I thought Outriders, for all its flaws with servers and whatnot, was a ton of fun. I really liked that game. And part of the excitement stemmed from the fact that, like, hey, this was a day one Game Pass game. It was an exciting new thing. But obviously, we've had enough time for the thoughts to marinate and develop. And I still think very highly of that game. Outriders was an absolute blast. I think this is a smart studio to partner up with. And it shows that these Game Pass partnerships can bear fruit indeed. So what are your thoughts on a $30 to $50 million project coming from People Can Fly using a Microsoft IP? And of course, the big guess from everybody is, what is the IP? Because I believe People Can Fly worked on a particularly unfavorable Gears game.
Yeah, it was at the Judgment one. That's the one they
Yeah,
did, right?
yep, Judgment.
Oh man, this is intriguing. I'm excited about this. Me, you, Colin, we all love Outriders. Obviously, I had my issues with Outriders and Square with their support, but once they got the technical issues finally resolved,
Yeah.
there was a core gameplay loop. And as a Destiny fan, I really appreciated the things that they try to do in the cooperative space and the looter shooter space. They really shout out to my man Ebontis, who was one of the first who kind of like debuted the game. He was working with them, and I got a lot of chance to see behind the quality of life and the things that they did. I still to this day feel Destiny can learn from.
Mm.
Like from a brand new IP, from again just the looter shooter, it was really dope. So I'm very curious if it's people can fly, which route they go, because obviously they've done Judgment before. We've seen that. If I had to guess, they still stay in the cooperative multiplayer space that
So with
suits
guns.
with guns. It suits Microsoft. It suits the Game Pass model. It suits everything that they want. And yeah, I don't know what this is. This is very intriguing. They're a very talented group. So whatever Microsoft has seen from them, they are excited, and we're getting the vibe that this is kind of like almost like a global publishing exclusive kind of thing.
It's
Kind of
gotta
vibe,
be.
right?
It's gotta be. If it's a
Yeah, that's
Microsoft
the
IP.
vibe.
I think the safe guess is Gears. I think it just
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. It's about timeline at that point, and
Mhm.
I think another good guess would be Halo. I just think Halo spinoffs are just such untapped potential, and I
Mm.
don't know what kind of Halo spinoff they'd make, because the type of games that I think People Can Fly really thrived with. Like one thing what I loved about Outriders was the locomotion, like just kinetic ass game. You were just never stopping. Like you could take cover, but why would you? Like you were dive bombing everyone in sight.
Mhm.
So I don't know how you incorporate that sort of fast, frenetic gameplay into either of these series. Like Halo's more arena style, and then you got Gears, which is a little more like burying yourself down against cover. And you don't want to do something that's going to directly compete against either of these we don't know what Halo is really going to be up to in the coming years, but with something like Gears, we know 6 is on the horizon. So it's just a matter of when that delivers. And you don't want to try to do a little spin-off third-person shooter at 30 to 50 million bucks. Great money for a game, but not big budget. So I'm going to go Halo here. Something about it says to me Halo. I don't know what it is. No reasoning. Just I think this makes the most sense because the future is the most empty. So let's fill that gap, because
Yeah.
otherwise we know what's happening with Gears. We'll see though.
Yeah, curious what Microsoft IP it is.
Next up, some big numbers for Xbox were shared with the press following the showcase. Microsoft first-party titles are pulling in over 150 million monthly active users. Microsoft has seen a 46% increase year on year in people playing PC games in Game Pass. Of course, they just added Game Pass to 40-plus markets recently. Xbox has now topped 500 million lifetime users across its first-party games and reiterated its desire to continue to deliver at least 4 first-party games a year moving forward. So, Cog, any thoughts on any of these numbers here that Xbox has shared? A little flex. It's like they stored all these in the back pocket for this particular week.
Look, it's time. It's time, to get their adulation. They suffered, and now it's time to get the to the victor goes the spoils, right? Like they've been through it. So yeah, first party title engagement. People are excited about the studios, the offerings. Makes sense. The PC Game Pass growth is really where the market is right now for them, and as far as Game Pass and seeing them continue, it shows their strategy was sound, right? Have it on PC early, get the base adopted to that, and thus you can play anywhere. And as I'll talk about later with a certain device that is PC, that
Ah,
I'm starting to see the fruits of that. I'll discuss. And then as far as the what you call it, the what was the last one? The 500 million lifetime users delivered. Oh, the four first party games a year. I was literally in a briefing with Booty when he said that. And that really surprised. I'm like, wow, that's ambitious. 4, like, yo. Now, granted, they are like all going to be of the same scope of Avowed, Hellblade, whatever. But that's the cadence they want to give. And me and King has always said this, and this has been the vision. If they execute with that cadence, it does become overwhelming for the opposition. Because at that point, even if they're not all 90 plus meta critics, so to speak, but if they're in the 80 and they're quality and they're all these diverse genres, that's hard to beat. That's when Game Pass becomes a thing. But again, execution, game quality, that kind of stuff. But from what we've seen from the showcase, people have got the feeling now. The hope is there. People see. It's like what Phil said. It's like, I see it. I don't want to say that until you see it. Yeah. Now we're seeing it, and we're like, okay, all right, Xbox, you just got to execute, but you're looking good. Future looks bright.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught the verbiage has kind of shifted a bit from a game a quarter to just 4 games a year, which I think is smart because you might double up in a window like we saw with Minecraft Legends and Redfall, despite the quality of each varying drastically. I think it just shows that this may be something that they do, and they're not going to. They probably won't hesitate to shotgun blast us at a certain point and be like, "Oh, like you're getting at the end of this year, you're going to get Starfield, and then 1 month later, you're going to get Forza." So I think they're not afraid to stack these games as long as they deliver. But I'm curious with Game Pass how that benefits them if they have certain parts of the year that are more stacked than others, because obviously they want to sustain the subscriber and not bleed cash on it. So we'll see. But Matt Booty had a ton of interesting comments while speaking to Giant Bomb that I know we're both going to have a ton of thoughts on. Here's what he talked about when speaking on showing games off moving forward. He says he wants to be more planful about how and when they announce things. They no longer want to announce a game and go dark for 4 years anymore. And he wants to get in a rhythm where they show off a game after being confident enough with the team's progress to then show it off again next year with a gameplay demo and then launch sometime that same year. Everything they want to ship in 2024, he has seen builds of / played the game. So everything that we saw in that showcase has been played by Xbox staff. Very important to note there. He mentions that even with 2025, there are games he's cautiously confident will be ready to show. And at this point, he is making light mention of State of Decay 3, which I wanted to note for the audience here. And then he also says that the days of 2 to 3 year development cycles for big budget video games are over now, saying they are 4 and 5 and 6 years, and that it's taken fans / industry time to understand and realize that. Cog, I mean, this is something we were just talking about last episode, right? That they are going to show these games off at the showcase. We're going to get a good look, like, okay, that's what that is, right? I think the only one we didn't get like a really good feel for is Hellblade. It's like, okay, that's what we saw it was. And next year, I assume we're going to get directs on each of these games, or maybe a massive direct for multiple of them, but they seem big enough on their own to just absorb their own direct. We'll see. Again, the big question mark to me, Cog, is Starfield had such an enormous direct because it's an enormous game. And not that these other games are smaller, but can you do 45 minutes of Hellblade 2? Maybe if you're doing what they do with their development documentary, sure, we'll talk more about that later as well. But can you do something like that for Hellblade 2 with its combat? Is it as deep and wide as we imagined Starfield was? So, Cog, what do you make of the shift in focus here for Xbox and how they want to reveal games, how they want to announce things moving forward?
This way Mr. Batty plays. Once again, the Duke is on fire, man. Like, bro, you called it. When we were talking that episode right after the showcase, I was like, yo, Batty's right. They're giving us the playbook. We're not paying. I wasn't paying attention. And it was like, hey, you're going to get an idea. The first thing is the CGI. Okay, we're working on this. Then the next one is, okay, you may get an idea if you see it twice, right? But what the third one is, minus Hellblade's low snafu. they went 3 times. But I ain't letting you off, Ninja Theory. We're going to fix this. You're going to make this right.
They got to make it right, yeah. There's actually something they said that I think can surprise us all and make it very right. But
okay.
We'll talk. Xbox Showcase Extended. Stick around, everyone. Stick around. We'll talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think that's what this is. And I think with Bethesda and Todd, they've raised the bar so high now with Developer Direct that it's like, you got to show your game. You got to remove the veil. You got to, get us behind the curtain and really let us know. And I think that's the final stage. And that's, months before release, right? A month or two. And I think that's when the cadence of the developer direct really picks up, whether in 2024, whether it be Avowed's turn and whether it be Hellblade's turn or whomever, right? And I think that is and I have to be honest, like, I think I was watching one of your videos, like, that was literally one of the best showcases of a game I have ever seen. And this is coming from a person who bashes Xbox on not the way they show games and always say you need the Sony style of flair.
It's ironic, isn't it?
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I'm not taking anything away from Sony, because I still remember when Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima is that first thing, the first time you seen it, and you walk it in the breeze, and inside, and Sucker Punch was doing what they do, right? But literally, God Howard and the team, say what you want about frames or whatever you may have an issue. You don't like those type of games, but you cannot say that game was not showcased in the most amazing way, where you left without any questions about what Starfield is on any level. And I rewatched it again, like, bro, like, they had developers each giving their own takes about what made the game special. Yeah. It was a love letter for development. Like, I was just sitting there like, wow, this is a combination of all the years of everything they did until this moment. And you saw all the sentiment to the point, when I knew they were shining? I forgot they had a moment where they had all the box arts of all their classics. And the box art for Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout. You're going to know what our repertoire is. They had all their championship belts on display. I'm like,
was 76 in that case? Because I know they put...
Yeah, they cut quick.
I was going to say, I probably saw it to Fallout 4 or Skyrim, but I was like...
So Fallout, I saw the 70 cut. I was like, yeah, you're smart. You're smart for that. But bro, like, they have raised the bar on game showcases. And I have to admit, Xbox, you did that. Developer Direct is it. And now Bethesda set the tone. So moving forward, I bring this forward with this, is that this is how it's got to be now for all Xbox games. I think this is what Mr. Matty's predicted. It's going to happen. And this is what we're going to get for 2024 with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, the bar got set really high. I mean, the quality of the first Direct was great, right? The presentation was strong, but the amount of showing was a little sizzle, really, right? That was one of my critiques of it, but otherwise it was fantastic. And then, like, Starfield, I think the best thing I could say about it was that I didn't feel marketed to. It wasn't buzzwordy filled. It was just genuine humans talking about their experience of the game, which is what it's all about. I feel like it just captured everything well, where I do think it was I don't feel any sort of uncomfortability in saying that was the best showing of any game, period. End of story. Like, Fallout 4 to me was the standard for a while, but that was like a mixture of excitement and nostalgia. But when we're talking, like, objectively, you could have looked at Starfield and made your purchasing decision right there with that Direct. Like, no, I don't want this, not for me. Or, yes, I do want this. And so, yeah, I see that. Oh, I got the controller too. Don't you worry. Yeah. That controller I had to bend the knee. Especially when I saw you get a unique theme with it. I was like, okay. I'll connect the controller one time at least.
I respect it.
But yeah, I had to bend the knee. I apologize to my controller soldiers out there when I was slandering y'all during the Redfall days. I was making fun of everyone for that, celebrating the little things. But now we got something big, so I'm going to grab the little things to celebrate it, right? You feel me? So anyway, I appreciate you giving me some of my roses there, but we'll see. I just hope that they don't force these directs to be a certain length, right? Like, I think Starfield is a huge game. It should get a huge direct, but if Hellblade's a little tighter, you don't want to show narrative, let it be like 15, 20 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it'll be according to per game and in situation. I think they know what they got to do.
Next up, Cog, let's talk about Clockwork Revolution. It was revealed that this was pre-alpha footage, as confirmed by Brian Fargo. He also described it as, quote, a true RPG with all of the stats, crunchy details, and deep reactivity that we're known for, we being In Exile Entertainment, end quote. Separately, he states that the game will include a character creator and branching dialogue. I mean, bro, a lot of people thought this was going to be kind of Bioshock-like, but no, this is going to be all of the RPG sensibilities. This is why my Game Pass pick of the week last week was Wasteland 3, because y'all need to know what this team is capable of and give it an honest-to-God try and know that you're about to get that in a first-person shooter. That's like Singularity and like Bioshock. It looks so good, man. I have to be patient with this one because I know it's a ways away. Pre-alpha, bro. Pre-alpha, that's like your vertical slice that you kind of that you go like, okay, this is what the game is, and then your alpha is when it's like playable from start to finish. This is probably a 2025 game. Like that's what it told me. This is about a 2025 game. Like. Probably mid 2025 would be my guess.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that I was looking at them on Twitter, Clockwork, and they got your man when they call him Lord Grobley, and he's so above and feeling himself, and he's so pompous and arrogant. He cannot grace the regular floor with the president.
Yeah.
He had to roll it.
I think I saw Fargo say that it's his most favorite annoying character.
Bro, the sensibilities on that is hilarious. So I'm like, I had to tweet at them. I was like, bro, Lord Grobley, he's speaking to me. That's very Iron Lord bougie right there. I'm feeling it. But yeah, this looks, man, so ambitious. I'm so proud of it, Exile, because we called it. We called it like people were sleeping. They didn't know what Xbox had cooking all this time. And it's funny you say that because I literally downloaded that Wasteland 3 on my Ella. I got that geared up, about to do another playthrough with that. Dude, and man, bro, it's just, I'm just happy they're getting their recognition right now and to see the scope of this. I agree. 2025, take your time. It looks phenomenal. We have a clear idea of what you're doing now. Let's go. Yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't mind them showing this off because it was like super ambitious, and it's good to know what this Project Cobalt looks like. And one thing Booty and Phil both said multiple times was that there are games we don't know about next year. And I imagine that's something like a Contraband, something along those lines. But that's the exciting part about this showcase. They just keep talking about stuff we don't know about. On top of this, I'm like already very enthusiastic about the outlook of Xbox now that we have a good view of what these teams have been up to. And you're telling me there's more? I mean, hopefully it's good, right? I mean, Contraband, I don't have like a high amount of hype for, but I'm very curious about it because I like heists in video games. Like that was the thing I was most excited about for GTA 5. That's, the kleptomaniac in me. I always say like Dishonored, like let me steal things, pick things up. I just love that shit. There was the original Project Joplin for what is supposed to be the next Dragon Age game was based around heists. Like that had me super excited. So I hope they keep that vision. So that just speaks to me big time. So I don't know if Contraband will end up being fantastic or not, but they have games like that in their back pocket. There's the Wu-Tang Clan game as well. So who knows what Shaolin's going to do for us? There's a lot that they're probably hiding away.
Yeah, that's the thing that's exciting now because now we have the roadmap, but we, like you said, you got all these different projects we still are waiting on. This is one of them, like you said, the Project Wu-Tang joint we just talked about. Now we're hearing out the deal with, People Can Fly. We still got Kojima's game. Mm-hmm. Like it's starting to get into that pocket, right?
We're rolling.
We're starting to roll, and that's what that's all you wanted to know as an Xbox fan. When is it happening? I always told people, I always told people this was the year. I had no less than an 8. I stood on it even in the dark times of 2022. I told people, no, I'm disappointed in 2022 for sure. Mm-hmm. But this was the year. It's all sort of just execute, baby. It's a layup. Just do what you got to do, and then it should all fall into play. And hopefully for them, it will come together.
Yeah, props for you for standing on your square. For me, I was much more dreary after Redfall. I was like, it's fucking over, man.
And rightfully so. I mean, I understand it. They didn't give anybody any reason to feel good about anything.
No, they did not.
Facts.
Forza Motorsport, y'all will find this one interesting, as the Dukes had said. I should have warned everyone. There's a couple of defining Duke victory laps in this episode. This is just going to be one of them. Forza Motorsport Premium Edition is giving 5 days of early access with the same price package as Starfield. It's going to be $100 on its own. This is not, by the way, the price that you would pay if, let's say, you download through Game Pass and then upgraded. This is on its own, including the game, which will also include beyond the early access, a car pass, which you get 30 vehicles from, 1 per week, a VIP membership, and the welcome pack. So that's 2 in a row, Cog. That's 2 in a row. And I'm starting to wonder, we were very curious about Redfall not doing this. And I'm starting to think it's because the game wouldn't have been ready in time. And they were like, yeah, we don't want people getting this early access. That'll kill the game there. Because it felt like the game that fit the early access model the most out of everything they were putting out. But here we are, Starfield getting early access for 5 days. Forza, 5 days. this is going to be a thing moving forward, as we mentioned on Defining Duke previously. So beyond the victory lap, beyond the back pats, Cog, any shifts in thoughts on this? Do you feel that this is an okay consolation, even if, you're paying for your Game Pass subscription, they're getting your money, but you still got to wait? Do you think that's a fair proposition to the consumer if they're collecting your $15 a month?
Listen, y'all wanted the bangers, right? Y'all wanted them, right? Where's the bangers? Well, they're here now. And we're going to bang this wallet out for your FOMO. Your FOMO, we're going to test your FOMO if you truly go away in Game Pass. And I failed miserably with Starfield. Like, bro, it was a part of the show I had to admit to you, right? I'm like, bro, I'm literally on Best Buy right now. I'm in the queue. I'm trying to get the Constellation Edition with the early access and the expansion for the $300. What was it, like $300? It's ridiculous what I paid.
Yeah,
it was something.
That's fine. No, that's fine. You're making a good choice.
I'm making. Listen, I had to do what I got to do.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But again, Forza fans, we know how hard they go, especially in the EU. Shout out to my man Forza Irwin. Shout out to Midweek Mix Up Podcast and those guys. Like, I know people, they're not waiting, and then bro, they want to tweak, and this is the hardcore. Like, bro, they're going in. So yeah, this is gonna be the thing, and I think this is how they're gonna get a lot of physical sales. I think it would behoove them. Corporate Cog would say it would behoove you to have console-like editions representing the said banger of choice. Because let's be honest, bro. If there was a Starfield, if they would have put, like we told, like you called it, the Series S terabyte white Starfield.
It feels like such a missed opportunity. It really does.
Complete missed opportunity. Like that, bro. I got Valari out here doing pillows. People like, yo, I want that. Like, it's that great. Anything with a banger, people want to be associated with. So I think, yeah, get ready. Look, it is a bit much. I'm not going to say it's not. It is a bit much. However, the reason why they're going to get away with it, they're going to be like, no, but we didn't force you. It's in Game Pass. It's going to come out on the day it comes out 5 days later, on the day we told you it was going to come out. But if you can't, this is just for the enthusiast. That's how they going to get over with this. Game Pass saves them morally a little bit, but we know what they do.
Yeah. A lot of other companies doing it too. It's not to justify it, but it's not just an Xbox thing anymore. We've been seeing it all year, and it's going to become an industry trend. Like, it's just this is the new way to get people in. Just like, oh, our game's going to be ready by that day. All right, sell it 5 days early. Cool.
But see, the difference is they're in perfect position with Game Pass.
Yeah, it does.
This is what Game Pass makes them look like knights in shining up. Oh, it's just something special. It's free. You're part of our service. Bro,
you get to play dumb. Yeah.
Bro, I love it. It's hilarious. You got to laugh. It's hilarious.
You know what's not hilarious? Todd Howard retiring. Todd Howard stated that Elder Scrolls 6 may be his final Elder Scrolls game in an interview with IGN. Now, he said final Elder Scrolls game. He clarified again, so it's not his last game, but it's reality starting to sink in a bit, Cog. And Matic Brick writes in, hi, Cog and Matty. With Todd Howard saying that Elder Scrolls 6 may be his last Elder Scrolls game, do you think he is laying the seeds that Elder Scrolls 6 may not only be his last Elder Scrolls game, but also his magnum opus, if you will, ending it with the game that began his career in the first place? And this is something I said in a video previously. I said, Morrowind's the reason we have Bethesda Game Studios today. They were out of business. Todd actually took over the project and said, let's go all in. They made a masterful game that put them on the map. And obviously the rest is history. As much as I want to hold on to Todd for dear life, the man's 52. He probably doesn't want to do this for the rest of his life. And AAA game development is super stressful. There is something truly poetic if after Starfield, he goes, I can do the new thing. And he comes to Elder Scrolls 6 after a possible 15-year wait and just lays out this absolute monstrous game and says goodbye after that. There is something poetic about the series that brought him here and that saved the company being his goodbye, his love letter to the company. I mean, there's so much there that makes sense. But he said he wants to direct Fallout 5. And in this same interview, he corrected himself and said that Fallout 5 may not be this immediate project after Elder Scrolls 6. So there could be something else in the mix as well at Bethesda Game Studios, big or small. So it sounds like he's sticking around no matter what after ES6. But I don't know, man. Got me in my feels when I read it. I was like, because you know what I thought of? This is a bit of selfish Maddie thought, but I gotta let me have it. I want to interview this man more than anybody else on this planet. And it was that moment of like, man, he's only got a couple games left. There's only a couple windows like this left. The barrier for me is nigh impossible to break down. It's like, I got to catch this dude in the streets pretty much and be like, yo, Todd, let's go. Like, I can do the interview right now. I can do it right now. He's like, all right, fuck it, let's go. Like, to me, I was like, oh my God, like time is ticking. But also, more importantly, the games, right? You want this man's hands on as many games as possible. I don't care what anybody says about 76, even Fallout 4. I don't care. This dude is a master craftsman. So, Cog, what do you make about ES6 possibly being the last Elder Scrolls game from Todd Howard?
Man, Hall of Fame career, like at that point, right? That's like how you go off into the sunset if that's what he wants to do. We do know he's getting up there. You know, there's only so many games you can be around for. And he's admitted that himself. And, you know, this year was the first year I've finally been around Todd at all, at any capacity. You know what I mean? And now I've had the opportunity to meet him maybe 3 times. And yeah, you know, I spoke to him recently and I was just like, man, you know, I have such an appreciation. I just want to tell him my appreciation for what you've done and what you've brought to the industry. That again, we've talked about it nauseum. These games are literally the soundtrack to our lives as far as Western RPGs and as far as how game development and complex systems are done and the things that you could do in a Bethesda game that you brought. And I will say this better, your man, Chad, very, very heartfelt, very genuine. He felt the appreciation that was shown, and he cares. You can tell this man cares about people loving his games. And we knew the pressure coming into Starfield. The conversation I had was before, and I was just proud. That was when I got my teary-eyed moment, because again, as a person who was talking like, y'all better put respect on Todd's name, to then see it exceed my expectation was like, this is why I fell in love with these games. Like he's the sole, you know, obviously it's his team, and shout out to the entire team, but this is the visionary, right? Like you said, from the Morrowind story, and it goes to show you from the organic growth story with Xbox and him, and then, you know, how they bonded, and then Phil, it all comes full circle. So yeah, whenever that, you know, swan song is, we got to give him his flowers. We got to appreciate him while he's here. And yeah, we got to get this interview with Mr. Todd Howard and Mr. Maddie Plays on whatever platform, because
I'm starting to become a pest now, Cog.
Bro, you got to shoot your shot.
Xbox PR. Yeah. I am sorry, Bethesda PR.
You have to.
I'm done being passive though.
Yeah,
I'm not getting younger either. I'm 27. God damn it.
Closed mouth don't get fed. I learned from shout out to Lord Addict. All my ego and all, bro, you've got to shoot it. And this, listen, he's extremely receptive, and he knows people in the industry. He knows what's going on. Trust me when I tell you, he knows Mr. Maddie Plays. He knew Lord Cognito. I was shocked, but at the same time, like, you've been there from the beginning, so we got to shoot the shot. Like that's just it. And this is a person, this is a visionary, just to learn about game development and the thought process and all that goes with it. And then the pressure, we could get gems from him for days. And he's a person I think you should be able to get and really get to the nitty gritty. So yeah, absolutely. This would be,
I know he would do it, because we've talked about it in the past one-on-one. It's just like, you know, the reality is it's getting through PR. It's time now. We got to turn up. We got to turn up and make 100%. This happen now. But so I tell people with this hype window with Starfield, it's like I say, enjoy this stuff. Like it you know, for those who have been with me for so long and followed me through the Fallout 4 days, y'all remember, like, we were always like, man, it was such a special time. There's nothing quite like it. But it's starting to get that feeling again, but in a more reasonable way. We were burnt by 76. Some people felt burnt by Fallout 4. And it's that feeling now of like, I love you again. I can trust you again. It's like the relationship got mended with Starfield. And there's that tangible, reasonably placed excitement for something they're making. And I just encourage people to, again, you don't have to throw all objectivity out the window, but really enjoy what may be one of his final 3 games, possibly.
Facts.
And him hitting the stage. I mean, what was cool about this direct is I love seeing Todd and him talk, but like it was about the team. It was about the team, and that was really nice to see a diverse amount of faces there. So just wanted to go ahead and dive into that a little bit, prepare people mentally. I will cry that day, no doubt about it. That will be literal grown man tears by that point. And oh man, that'll sting. That'll sting.
Yeah, we got to make that happen. That needs to happen, Maddie. That is the soundtrack to your career.
It is. My fiance was saying, "Don't say it's not true," but I was like, I wouldn't be here without his games. I wouldn't. There's no denying that my career started off from just talking about his video games. And imagine being able to say that, like, I made such good shit that some dude made a career off talking about my shit. Like, that's a flex, man. So shout out to him. Yeah, just to get to do that one day. I know it'll happen. It's just a matter of when. It's just a matter of when. I'm manifesting right now. I'm
manifested, baby. Speak it into existence. Thus it shall happen.
Let's talk Redfall. Let's talk.
What a transition, Jim.
Let's talk Redfall. There's no way to get into this in a smooth way.
Let's go.
Update version 1.1 is here. You can read all about it over on Bethesda.net. It's a miles-long page, so I'll just read the developer letter from Arcane Austin. They write, fellow Vampire Slayers, this is an interesting line, Cog. We're grateful to see that millions of you have explored the quaint but dangerous open world of Redfall. Millions, Cog.
Yeah. Listen, I got to come from my Xbox executive leadership because this is what was told to me in the beginning. Yeah, y'all ripping it, but I get the engagement. I'm like, see me after a couple of weeks, and then we shall see. But yeah, they were flexing that. But, I think we both know that at the end of the day, they would have loved the continued engagement that this title should have had, like how Sea of Thieves is doing right now and all the stuff that's going on with them and ESO. But yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. The millions. Okay.
I will put $1 million on the fact that a million players probably showed up just to see how crazy it was. And by that, I mean the reviews, the headlines. It's like, what is this game? It can't be that bad. And they try it out. Mm-hmm. Building a play space this large has been humbling to say the least. We recognize that we still have work to do and plan to address as much as we can, as quickly as we can. Your feedback has helped highlight key areas for improvement: enemy AI responsiveness, enemy encounter frequency, vampire combat efficiency, improvements to graphic fidelity. Today's release is only our first patch and introduces a lot of incremental fixes that will improve Redfall. Once available, we will be sharing more information about future updates, including our 60 FPS performance mode on our social channels. We really appreciate everyone who's been sharing gameplay clips and providing detailed feedback on Discord, Reddit, and Twitter. It means a lot. Thanks again for your support and patience. See you in Redfall. Arcane Austin. So they're still hanging around. Still hanging around.
So Harvey tweeting about it. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, did he really? I didn't catch that.
Yes, Harvey actually. I was shocked.
He came back.
Yeah, he was outside on Twitter. I was like, wow, okay. So yeah, we'll see. Waiting for that 60 frames, and I will test it once the 60 comes in because I'm not touching it now, even with the AI and all that. But it goes to show you, Maddie, like how like they wanted this thing out and over with.
Yeah, throwing this update out in the middle of the hot week was a strategic choice I can admire.
Sneak it right into the Goodwill. Yeah. Sneak that little, sour.
Cousin Jerry energy, bro. Straight up.
There you go.
You guys got good vibes? Okay, cool. We got something that can need the good vibes right now.
You don't love us too?
All right, we're done with Xbox for a little bit. We still have much to talk about with Ubisoft Forward, Persona, etc., but we will get back into the whole Xbox shebang in a little bit. Still much more to crawl through here. The producer for Persona 3 Reload has clarified his earlier statement and confirmed that the game will have FES content, but not FES's epilogue, known as The Answer, and this will also eliminate the female main character, aka the FemC, from Persona 3 Portable. And I don't know. I gotta go New York sports Matty for a moment. I've been pretty tame this episode, so pardon me if I can only go an hour without popping them.
Let's go.
How are you guys fucking up marketing this so fucking bad? It's beyond me. It's a fucking remake, guys. Come on. Come on. It's unbelievable how much they're failing to communicate what the game is. It's a remake of Persona 3. And it's like they're just, we said, it's this action. No. Well, we're going to have some FES content, but not this FES content because they won't say what it is. Bro, they're skirting the line here. I'm not a fan of how they're talking about this game, but like my hype is deteriorating a little bit for this because it's becoming very clear that because they're like, we don't want to betray your expectations. I'm like, that already passed, bro. Right when you confirmed that a lot of the major additions, like everyone was looking for, as I've put it, the grand unifier. We've been looking for the intersection among all these versions that a remake historically does and pulls it all together. I don't know what they're doing over there at Atlas, but it's starting to feel a little tone deaf out here when we've been screeching about this for a while. And they're like, no, we got you. We're going to remake the base game and incorporate some elements of FES. It's like, what? This has been in development since 2019. So they've had time to hear from the fans, to say the least. But just want to provide an update to my Persona brethren. We will still be there day one, but we will be there a little bit disgruntled.
Yes.
Ubisoft Forward, Cog. A couple of things I want to highlight here. Halo is going to appear in Brawlhalla. And then there was Star Wars Outlaws gameplay. Ruben Barrett writes in, hey, Dukes, after seeing the amazing Star Wars Outlaw gameplay showcase from the Ubisoft show, it got me thinking, does Star Wars have a fairly large issue no one has addressed? In my opinion, and many others, the sequel trilogy was terrible. It was globally panned, and Rise of Skywalker actually took my number one spot for the worst movie I've ever seen on the big screen. And hell, I saw Battlefield Earth. The point I'm trying to make, though, is basically every single new Star Wars IP is actively avoiding that timeline. In my opinion, due to its shallowness and lore-breaking aspects. Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Mandalorian, Jedi Survivor, Book of Boba Fett, and now Outlaws all take place storyline-wise before the sequel trilogy. Is Star Wars as a wider IP going to have issues with their games in that the further they push the story, the more they're headed toward the blandness of the sequel trilogy, leading most of the games to be stuck in a timeline which people will be hesitant to move forward with? I mean, I was absolutely psyched when I realized this new game was set between Empire and Last Jedi. Have a, yes, I overanalyzed Star Wars kind of day. Ruben, you're in great company here. No worries. So Star Wars Outlaws was one of the 3 opening games we saw during the Xbox showcase. I don't know if you had a chance to check out any of the gameplay from Ubisoft Forward.
I'm watching it now. I didn't, so I'm watching while I'm talking to you. But I'm curious with how you feel now, that you're seeing more of it. Like, where's your head at post Xbox showcase now with this gameplay reveal?
Yeah, I get why they partnered with it here. I think the game actually looks great. I think Ubisoft had a really good showcase. And Ruben, to your question, it's very apparent, especially with the High Republic and certain games leading into the High Republic, that everyone's avoiding the sequel trilogy. Because when you start from the ground level, it's like a moment of, okay, what gives our game the best chance to succeed here? You avoid the failing component of Star Wars, right? So you take the new thing that they're trying to push on the big screen. You're taking the new thing that they're trying to push in books and now in games, and you run with that in the nature of that, or what already exists that people love. Star Wars Outlaws, I mean, I had a confidence in it because it was massive, and massive made Division 2 and Division 1. And look, the Division series is good. Like, for all Ubisoft's done wrong and that we've cranked on them for, Division has been always great. And so a third-person Star Wars shooter set in an open world looks awesome. Here's my one gripe with Star Wars Outlaws, though. And it is not the game itself. It's another Star game appearing before it that may take it out of commission for me. Because Starfield has that Star Wars energy, bro. It does. And I know it has a different art style. They define it as NASA punk, more grounded in reality, where Star Wars is more sci-fi, hyper-futuristic. So there is a difference there. But I think Starfield kind of reminds me of, because you even saw the Force at the end, bro. Like, it reminds me of a Star Wars simulator in so many ways that I know, especially when mods come out, I'm like, am I really going to be psyched about this? But as like Ruben, person who analyzes Star Wars, loves the brand still, even with some disgust from the sequel trilogy, this game looks great. Like, it really does look like the kind of redemption arc from Star Wars 1313. I think a lot of it's going to base off the story and how that's delivered, but hopping into your speeder and riding around the planet. We have not, and then getting in your ship and riding up into the stars. We haven't seen that since Battlefront Elite Squadron, I think it was. And there was a loading screen between that. So what they're doing here looks great. As a Star Wars fan, I'm very impressed. I thought it was all going to be boots on the ground cover shooting. So the fact that they've now brought it to the stars, I'm very keen on. But it's coming out 2024, and it was a great showing. And they showed a choice at the end too. Based off what I saw with AC Odyssey, I feel like I have reason to believe, like, oh, okay, Ubisoft can do choices actually kind of well. But I'm not holding my breath on the choice structure of this game, because it's an open world game. I want it to just be a good Star Wars open world game. So we'll start with that. But yeah, what I saw was great. And what do you think of what you're seeing now?
Oh, man, this looks, bro. This look good. This look really. It looked impressive at the Xbox showcase, but now we're getting more to the nitty gritty. This is giving me a lot of Jedi energy, but also, bro, that COG. When you got ship combat. That's my new thing now. COD gets a little biased. And again, I still think there's a lane for this. 2024 though, right? Because we can later after Starfield.
Yeah, there's a gap.
There's a lane.
I will
for
be
this,
there. Don't get me wrong. I just wonder if I'll taper off a bit. Like, I'm excited now.
Right.
But when I get my Star Wars fix, if you will, in September,
right.
Well, I'd be like, okay, let's see what you got here, Ubisoft.
Nah, I think you'll be fine. I think because again, it gives us enough time with Starfield at that point. And this is that hashtag just one kind of energy, that graphical fidelity. But then they're taking it a step forward with the vehicles and, like I said, the space combat. I like what they're doing right here, and I like when they were going through the towns and the different kind of locales and stuff like that, and the characters. It looks pretty. Like, this looks like one of them epic kind of adventures, and everything I see right now looks phenomenal.
Yeah, like I said, they had a great showcase because they also showed off Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and it's releasing December 7th of this year. They announced that there will be DLC for the game. It's free on PlayStation, but sorry, Xbox fans, we're going to have to pay for it. Andrew Ehrenreich writes, "Greetings, Dukes. Ubisoft just showed off their Avatar game, and the immediate discourse I started seeing is that it looks just like a Far Cry game. This idea is being put in such a negative way, which leads me to asking, why do people hate Far Cry now? I never played the first game, but 2 is one of my favorite shooters and one of the best games of its generation. 3 was fantastic, and so was 4 and 5. And once 6 came out, everyone just started acting like they always hated the franchise, blasting it as just more Far Cry. I'll admit 6 didn't stick with me, but it seemed to have good qualities. And if anyone told me it was a good game, I'd believe them. What is your take on the Far Cry as a series? Is the Ubisoft hate overshadowing the series as a whole? And are you looking forward to Frontiers of Pandora, aka Avatar Cry? Thanks, guys, and have I'm not an Xbox owner, but I love your content anyway kind of day." Oh, Andrew, thank you. You shouldn't have.
Salute.
Have you had a chance to check out this one, or shall I start? Okay, let's hit me with it.
Check out this one. No, again, looks good. At first, I was worried about the CGI because I was like, okay, what are we doing in this game? Can we get up in the air on these beasts, do all this stuff, or are these just cinematic kind of things? No, look really good. Like, so far, for what I've seen, it looks really good. And it kind of showing you how they went into like kind of hibernation, and then obviously these guys came back, and now it's a defense of the planet. You've got them taking shots out at the human invaders and stuff like that coming for the Na'vi. So based on the movie, which I remember, it's hitting those sensibilities. It looked good to me. I didn't really see anything yet that gives me cause for alarm, but I know you are not the Far Cry guy per se. So I'm dying to know if anything really has you concerned or pissed you off in this regard.
Pissed me off.
Yeah, because you don't like that. Every time I hear Far Cry, as soon as Redfall said that, it was
Colin's
a death
fault,
sentence.
man. It's Colin's fault because he thinks 6 is so good. I'm just like, dude, you're such a great critic. How the hell do you think 6 is that good? There's no way. Anyway, point being is, you know what? I really like what I saw here with Avatar. I think if I were to highlight a concern, it would be they showed the base and they're like, this is the base. And when you take over the base, the world around you changes. I'm like, okay, so there's the checklist. It's about the meaningful evolution of it. And what I liked is once you took over the base, it's like, okay, things around you change because now these humans are no longer draining the wildlife, draining the plant resources. So new things appear, and there's this kind of upgrade path that unlocks after that. So I feel like between that and the very high in the sky combat, the enemies you're fighting, you know what's interesting? Why am I on this game in an excited manner when I wasn't for Far Cry? It's because it's evolving what Far Cry did. And to answer Andrew's question, the problem with Far Cry, I don't want to speak for everybody, but the problem with me for Far Cry is I got to go back to what Carrick and I have talked about extensively. And of course, it's done in a crude manner. We called it masturbatory game design. It's like, holy fuck, we love so much of what we did in Far Cry 2. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's burn down the pot leaves again. Let's do it again. It's like, oh my God, guys, something new, please. And 6, I think, was the breaking point where the mission opened up, flamethrower, burn the crops down. It's like, yo, y'all are so in love with yourself. You know, that dude is always checking himself out. It's like, bro, you ain't even that attractive. Stop. It's like, that's what I'm thinking with Ubisoft with Far Cry. It's like, you ain't that attractive. Stop. And so it feels like with Avatar, they're taking those ideas and they're actually elevating it to the point where I would love to see this game in third person. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see it in third person. But you know, this game looks great, and I'm very open to it. And coming this year, that enhanced my excitement. A nice December game. I feel like we don't got many of those right now. I'm
going to ask you about how you feel about December release. I was going to ask you about that. So you good with that?
Yeah,
you good
with
December?
December 7th? Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
I like it. But overall, I mean, again, great showing from Ubisoft across 2 games. These are, I think the understanding was probably these are 2 things we really need to nail. But also, I imagine you'd feel the same. Avatar graphically looks great.
Bro, and they showing them like in those plains, the animals, the thing they do, bro, the different biomes, it's lush, the tropical, the jungle, like this looks really good.
Yeah.
Like I ain't gonna front, because at first that trailer cinematic was scaring me because I was like, what can you actually do? But now that we're seeing more in-engine kind of things in conjunction with that, this looked really good. I ain't gonna front.
100%. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Cog, Capcom put on one of the all-time worst showcases imaginable, an insult to the name showcase. And we got the Xbox gameplay showcase with no gameplay. So that's some perspective for you. We're going to run down the list and we can talk about whatever here that intrigues us. We have one right in. Dragon's Dogma 2 received a deep dive on its previous gameplay trailer. Pragmata has been indefinitely delayed. Yes, really, if you didn't catch it, this was announced in a very elegant manner during the showcase. Exoprimal got a new trailer, a content roadmap, and a battle pass. This is just a reminder, by the way, this is coming day 1 to Game Pass July 14th. Ghost Trick Remaster is out June 30th. We already knew that, but a demo is now available. Mega Man X Dive, the gotcha Mega Man game, is getting an offline mode coming to Steam, iOS, and Android. And then Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy is announced. And J-Train writes, hey, Maddie and Cog, I noticed the Ace Attorney collection is coming to Xbox, which makes it all the more confusing why the most recent Mega Man collection was left out. Do you see this as a positive sign going forward? I've never played these games, but I think I might try them out this year. Have a great day. And the line was held. J-Train, first of all, I gotta get a little messy with you. I know Don Otaku ain't gonna like this because he's wrote in about it. If you are gonna play a murder mystery game on Xbox,
here it comes.
You gotta play Danganronpa. Them's the defining Duke rules, okay? You play the mature, intelligent, well-written storyline by Kazutaka Kodaka, the peak fiction of peak fiction, okay? And then you stroll on into courtroom Ace Attorney action, and you tell me how long you're going to be hanging around for, all right? That's the order from me, J-Train. Whether you listen or not is up to you, but I'd say stand down on the Ace Attorney swagger there. Now, Cog, anything here? I mean, for me, I got nothing but disgust, especially as a Mega Man fan. That's all you got for me? I mean, I get it. We just got Battle Network Collection, but this had to be shown off for investors. Like, hey, everyone, here's what we're up to. Here's updates on our projects. Let's not do an earnings call. Any thoughts, or shall we just move on?
Yeah, some people just don't need a showcase. Like, the showcase ain't for everybody, you know, because look, I was just there, you know, I wanted to see if they were going to even show anything different with Path of the Goddess. That's literally what I'm most excited from them. I mean, Exo Prime, I'm going to try out.
Mhm.
I'm willing to give it a shot. They've got some cool crossovers in the roadmap. Look, it's in Game Pass. Ain't no reason for me not to be checking it out. But for me, all I really cared about was we did learn it is multi-plat, but they got the Game Pass back. So I still think that's substantial. The more I look at Path of the Goddess, the more excited I am. I didn't give it enough credit the first watch. The second watch, this is a very stylistic, beautiful game, and I can't wait to see how deep they go into with the Chinese mythology and the martial arts. So that's all I care about. But other than this, they could have missed me. This could have been a blog post, and we could have moved on.
Same here. Same here. Otherwise, Dragon's Dogma continues to look absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for that. But nothing else to throw out there for me personally.
Yes. Correct.
Just a couple more here, and then we'll talk about what games are playing. Embracer Group has announced a restructuring program that will result in layoffs, studio closures / divestments, and game project cancellations / suspensions. Now, first of all, kudos to Colin. He'd been calling this for a while, and he was right on the money with it. But of course, underneath Embracer Group is Crystal Dynamics, and they're very important to the Xbox family, and they confirmed this. We want to reassure fans that there will be no impact to our continuing efforts with our partners at the Initiative on Perfect Dark or our next Tomb Raider title being developed in collaboration with Amazon Games. So they're in the clear. No impact on Perfect Dark, fortunately. Bullet Dodge Share Cog. Any thoughts on Embracer, who grew and grew and grew, now scaling down?
Yeah, I gotta give up Brother King, man. He on fire right now. We'll hold the line with these predictions. He has an interesting theory about this, and this could be one that, again, he could potentially be right with. It's a long shot, but when the Embracer Group thing happened, this man was telling me, he's like, Embracer's the homie. He's like, they holding that for Microsoft. That's holding. We can't do anything right now because we locked up, according to King, with ABK. So you go get that. You do that. We'll come back. It would be hilarious if this plays out because with the financial situation of Embracer Group, and we're talking about closures, divestments,
and if they can't $2 million deal, we talked about that a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. And if they can't afford to hold on, and I thought it was quite interesting that Daryl Gallagher and that team was quick to bring Crystal D in and remove all that other talent out, the people he's working with. Look, you want to give me Crystal Dynamics, part of the family? I know it, I still consider it semi-long shot, but I got to give King some credit. There's some seeds are starting to sprout that I have to at least acknowledge with his forecasting. So if the general pulls this one off, I'm never going to hit it. If I told you.
Yeah, I think probably what Xbox wants to do is buy these bodies that can govern themselves, because I think Embracer is a perfect example of when you get too many teams and they're too big and you just can't oversee everything enough. So it's kind of beneficial to have Bethesda govern themselves, Activision to govern themselves, and they answer to a higher up in Xbox who can call some shots, or a Sega potentially. I'm curious how many individual studios they want to start bringing into that fold moving forward. That's the only shift in thoughts I've had on that. But yeah, this is, again, kudos to Colin. He was right on the money with this, that this was something that was definitely inbound, and not that any of us really disagreed with it, but still good to see that at least Crystal Dynamics is coming out unscathed, because Perfect Dark's already had enough speed bumps. So yeah. Last thing here, nothing really to say. Summer Game Fest will return in 2024. It reported its highest numbers yet. So shout out to Jeff Keighley and the team on another great year of performance for them. So we'll see them next June. All right, Cog, time to talk about what games we are playing. We have a write-in for each of the things we're playing. So would you like to go first?
Yeah, man. We want to start with
Diablo. We'll do the. Oh, do you want Diablo? Or
let me do my thing.
Okay,
go
for it.
Let me do my thing, because look, man, it finally arrived. I got my baby. I got my ally. So I've been putting it through its paces, and the thing for me is two reasons. One, I want to get out the back. I wanted a Windows-based device. I love my Steam Deck, but the thing is, being able to download Game Pass games locally, also having multiple storefronts is huge for me. I'm not locked into, Steam OS and kind of thing. But I want to get the bad out the way first. This is a Windows 11 device through and through first. So if you come into it, I would say that, like, for a person who has no experience with PC or Windows, this may be a little learning curve for you. It's not as easy out the box. And I still think this is why I have an appreciation for Steam OS, that is very intuitive, user-friendly. You can use the controller. Sometimes with this, you got to put it in desktop mode, put it in, gamepad mode, do all this stuff to get the cursor around and the shortcuts going on. But I will say that, and then the UI with Armory Crate, it is improving, and you can consolidate all your games in one place. But I do feel that it's in the infancy stage, and they need to get a lot of the kinks out. Again, for the new person who's just buying it as a handheld, who has no Windows sensibilities or familiarity, this is something they need to improve on. But I got to get to the good. All right, first of all, this thing.
Can I read the writing real quick for you?
Oh, please.
Sorry,
please
don't want to stop your role here.
No, I'm glad because it ties in. It ties in perfect.
Evis writes in, Maddie and Cog, hope you're doing well. I've been debating getting a Series X or an ROG Ally. I know that Game Pass on the handheld is a little different on PC than console, but would I really be missing out by going for the ROG? I'm thinking of going with the Ally and pairing it with the XG Mobile, but if Game Pass on PC is watered down compared to console, then I'll just go with the Series X. What do you suggest? Can I main the ROG or should I stay old school? Thanks for all the content during the night shift. Cheers. Thank you for writing in, Ebis Cog. Please continue, sir.
All right. No, great tie-in. This is a good one because the thing you have to adopt yourself is this is PC Game Pass first. This is a PC machine. So here's the advantages. If the game is on Game Pass, right, and you're playing like, bro, I'm playing Ghostwire, right, certain chapters, whatever, stop where I'm at. You are continuing the exact same cloud save that you have from console Game Pass to PC Game Pass. Beautiful. Now, it doesn't work all the way with like EA Play games. They have their own storefront. So, for example, if I'm trying to do let's say, what's the first one? Jedi Fallen Order, right? I have save data. I have that on console. I try to bring that here. It's acting like it's a new save. It don't know who I am because it goes through the EA storefront. So that's the other thing. Steam OS games work fine here. So to his question, I think it comes down on your use case. Someone asked me right now, little man in trouble now. You got the Ally. Like, what's going to happen? And I will say this. It depends on your needs. If you're a person that night shift, you can't lug a console around, you're like me, you're on a plane, you're on a train, where, having local, non-internet based, gameplay is critical for you. You throw this bad boy in offline mode, it is phenomenal. As far as the playing of games, the screen is outstanding. 1080p, 60 up to 120 hertz for some games. Obviously, not all, you'll drain your battery. It's crazy. This is playing most next generation games phenomenal. I will say this, Maddie. This is the greatest sounding device I've ever heard. This has, bro, I got to turn it down. The music and the Dolby Atmos coming from all the directions and the headset, the little headphones they have as well that also have Atmos. Bro, this is the greatest sound. From a player of games, it is beating the Steam Deck. I'm not even going to hold you on that. But when it comes to the config and the setup, there is a learning curve. It's not as intuitive as that. So that's what I would kind of get to them. But as far as the Series S concerned and X, like how I explain to people, if I'm going somewhere like for a long trip, like when we went to 4 or 5 days out to Cali, I brought Little Man because Little Man I could set up. You're going to be away. You're going to be able to play your Xbox games, and I get my screen, I get my fidelity, and it's still portable. So it's just a use case. I love the device. It's not going to be for everyone, but it's going to be for a certain demographic. And the fact that, again, every storefront, bro, my achievements are popping. I'm playing stuff. It is a really solid experience. And the thing that really surprised me is how well it controls. Obviously, what you call the dual, the Xbox, offset, you know what I mean? Thing is great. D-pad, better than I expected. Now I'm putting it through the fighting paces, the Tekken paces, Street Fighter. Fireball's fine. The back part of this D-pad, I'm not the greatest fan of a little bit, but it's serviceable. But the analogs are amazing. And everything is configurable as far as even dead zones, and you can configure all that kind of stuff. So look, very impressed. I will say for a first impression, it's going to iterate. Highly advise people to get it. Me, I went all out. I'm doing surgery on my joint. I'm putting in 2
solid
terabytes.
Twitter post. Solid Twitter
Girl,
post.
I'm out here doing all the I'm like, this is me for the long haul because it's the device for me. And I'm hoping that a certain game can get into Game Pass because I want anything in Game Pass, you lit.
Yeah.
Like you are lit. You come and go as you please. It's really, and the Wi-Fi is amazing. Wi-Fi. There's a lot to say about
How
it.
the download speeds on it?
Problem. Here's the thing I don't understand. I'm testing like Google test. Bro, I'm running like a terror in the house. Google speed test, accurate. But it's something about PC, whether it's throttling it because it's mobile, it's not the device. It's something about the storefronts, whether it be Xbox Game Store. I even see Steam. Like the download speeds, I'm only getting like 29 megs, 30 megs. I'm like, nah, my connection way faster than this. And they need a dedicated dock that has Ethernet because a lot of these third parties, I'm still seeing the throttling. So they got to figure that part out.
Okay.
So again, great device, some little small growing pains, but the foundation is great. And I think they're going to continue to improve. But other than that, yeah, you've been playing something else. And then we can talk about we're going to talk about the game that we've both been playing still.
Yeah, I have nothing really additional to say on Diablo. It's just fantastic. Server issues bothering me a lot more now with the game development. Just that's starting to be like, all right, y'all. Like I was a believer in the always online push, but like you're making me look foolish now. Like it's starting to get a little out of hand. But I'm on Act 6 now, which I believe is the final one.
Yes.
And just loving this game, man. Probably gonna do another run through of it. I wish I tried really hard, but I didn't want to stay up too late last night. I was at level 49 and a half. Like I wanted to get to 50 to see the Paragon and the leveling up and what that is so I could talk about it for the show. So I apologize, but I'll talk about it next week. I just got a couple of review codes as well for certain games, not the big poppin' one that y'all are probably thinking of, but some other stuff that I am genuinely extremely excited about on a much smaller scale, I'd say. But so I'm going to be a busy boy in a handful of hours, actually, but nothing for me to say on Diablo 4 that's really new. What about you?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. The love affair that I have for it, man, is just so good. And I just could consistently keep respecing right now. I'm like probably like towards the end of chapter 2, about to get to chapter 3. I'm now playing complete catch up on all my gameplay now that I'm home. And runs really nice, honey. I lie. Runs really nice. I had to bring the frames down to about 30 because there's so much going on. You know what I'm saying? So I bought that in a nice space. But I could bring the resolution down, but I like it looking pretty for right now. But yeah, look, this game is absolutely phenomenal. And I will say though, Maddie, the server issues are starting to get on my nerves. Like I was in the middle of something and then completely got booted out of the game, could not jump back in. And I'm like, bro, we can't be doing that. Yeah. Like I'm not.
It's not just lag at this point. You're losing progress.
Yeah, like come on, man. So again, I really stress they do the Redfall. You got to give us an offline mode, especially for single player. Just limit it to single player. What exploits could really happen at that point? I don't understand. I understand server
the character just can't go online at that point. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, and then maybe like once you save, and then it'd be like, okay, then you forced to upload your character, once you're done or whatever. There has to be some middle ground because that part is really taking away from a very special experience. And some of these dungeons and biomes are really, really beautiful looking, and the cinematics are really cooking. Lilith's story's cooking. Really love the game, but yeah, fix that part.
Yeah, the game's just all about flow. When you break up the flow, like the whole thing falls apart. So when I'm rubber banding or like there's input delay, it feels awful at that point. It's frustrating. It's like when it's working as intended, like during that early access period, oh my God. It's a perfect action game, but just especially for the isometric action RPG fans. But when it starts bouncing you around, or I've had to repeat dungeons for God's sakes, and it's a really annoying experience when that connection betrays you.
Real quick before I just want to back up on the Ally for anybody who picks it up. Word of advice. This button is your friend. I call it the molest button. Use the molest button at all times, brother. Use this in conjunction. Don't laugh, Maddie, but it's my friend. You press like this in shortcuts with the directional pad. could go up to like show desktop real quick. You can take a screenshot with it, but press that and A. You use this in conjunction with features, and this will save you, as well as the keyboard functions. A lot of times you're like, yo, I can't input the keyboard. You press that up, use the use it. Get your molested. Let me stop. Now, we ain't gonna get demonetized. We ain't gonna demonetize. But use this. Clip this. We might have to clip that part. But use this button. Trust me, it'll save you. Okay, I'm finished.
No worries. RK128 writes in, hello, Ifrit, Maddie, and Phoenix Cog. Did either of you check out the Final Fantasy 16 demo that released just after the Xbox showcase? I played through it. I was very impressed overall from the polished presentation, strong story, and surprisingly strong combat. So yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to make time for. It was like this demo or Liza P. And contrary to what I've seen online a lot, I wasn't like super sold on the direction in the terms of combat for Final Fantasy 16. It looks great, but it didn't look or feel particularly Final Fantasy to me. But Cog, I gotta say, this is why I was kind of pushing earlier. I was like, Xbox got to figure out this relationship, because like this is a good game in the making. If this 2-hour demo is anything to go by, the acting, the presentation has been so elevated compared to really what we've seen in the history of this franchise. And look, I have realized as the years have gone on, I'm kind of just a lover of all things Final Fantasy. Like I'll have my nitpicks about them, but there's just something special with the franchise. But what we don't see often is an M for mature game in this series. We'll see mature themes, no doubt about it, like what happened with Celis in Final Fantasy VI. But Type 0 was like the only M-rated Final Fantasy game. And that was one of the main reasons so many people begged for it to come to the West. And so this game being rated M for mature, I mean, dude, you know, it's kind of, I think the way I could define it is it's almost like seeing Pokemon get really gritty out of nowhere. Because like any other game, I probably wouldn't care. But like when I see that Chocobo take that stone to the head, man, and he's covered in blood, bro, it hurts. I'm like, that's like the I'm like, this man just got hit in the head and he's dead. I'm like, oh, he's bloody. This game, man, goes hard. It's story, man, to the point where like there is an opening stretch, a lot of political intrigue, very Game of Thrones-esque, but also, I mean, so many cutscenes. You don't really play the game for a while. You know, you'll bounce and run for a little bit and a new cutscene will start. And it's all good shit, but it is just a warning to people who may want to get into the thick of things quicker. Maybe time this demo out closer to the launch of the game, because what I will say, the only regret I have with playing this demo, Cog, is when it finishes, you're like, I need to know more, which is great. Like they chose the perfect cutoff point because they rope you in. And immediately they're like, thanks for playing. I'm like, no, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Right. But then they're like, would you like to buy the digital deluxe edition? Would you like to buy Final Fantasy 16 on your PlayStation 5? Easily ropes you in. But for those of you who are kind of like, oh, I'm excited, I don't want to ruin something for myself, it does leave you at a point where you, like, for pacing, you probably want to know like, what happens next. It's a hook among hooks. I would say wait until you're at least a couple of days away from the release, then play the demo, because the save file does carry over. But this was good. I'm still not sold on the combat right now. And I want to see, I think once it evolves, it'll be great. Mechanically speaking, like controls wise, with evading, you know, the perfect evade allows you to counterattack the Phoenix Rush, like you're dashing in on fire and you can do magic in between. That stuff is great. It's about the fact that these enemies are very spongy, which I noticed in some of the gameplay trailers we've seen, some of the cuts we've seen in the game. Like, okay. And you're kind of just hammering away on these enemies to little to no damage, especially in this demo. Like some of these enemies got a ton of health and there's no real variation. It's like, okay, mash, 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 get away, in, I go again, mash, mash, mash. You hit a stagger gauge because ever since Sekiro showed up, we all have stagger gauges now. Once you break the stagger gauge, they're weak. You do more damage. So this is a good flow. This is a good rhythm. It's just, and I'm expecting, given it was from the combat designer of Devil May Cry 5, this will evolve in meaningful ways. I have zero doubts about it. But right now in the early goings, it's just kind of a basic action game. And it looks good and it feels good in some ways. But I'm not totally sold on that aspect yet.
Ooh.
I have a feeling I can be, but right now, like, I'm a stickler for one thing in Final Fantasy, and it is only because of 15, is the way they've handled magic lately. It's a nitpick, but I gotta vocalize it. Has been so friggin' weird. Like in Final Fantasy 15, they say, okay, you don't just summon or cast spells and it costs you MP and you recharge it with your ether. A system that's old as time itself, right? Like what JRPG just doesn't do this. But 15 decides, let's make it a material and you craft it and your spell's like a fucking grenade that you throw. I'm like, what is this shit, man? So 15 just varies it up drastically. And in 16, now you can just shoot your fire whenever, but there's no MP at all. And it reminds me a lot of how the gun in Devil May Cry felt, where it's almost like probably a stagger to keep them in the air. I'm like, that feels not really in tune with what the core of the series is, but I'm nitpicking a little bit in that regard. I just thought it was worth sharing for the OG Final Fantasy heads who maybe want to have a conversation on it. Otherwise, though, the storytelling, presentation, the budget, the way it runs, the characters, all on the incline. I liked a lot of parts of 15, but this feels more focused. And as someone who's not big on Final Fantasy 14 currently, I really want to try to get back into it and see if I can get to those expansions and find out what everyone's talking about. I want to see what everyone's been praising Yoshi P for. Like, I want to know, like, why is he that dude for Final Fantasy? And there are a lot of elements to this game that show that. And the acting, last thing I'll say, the acting.
Let's go. How we doing?
Anyone who's beat the demo knows there's a part where it's like, oh my God, it's so good. It's like almost the reason you want to play it, because the way it concludes is just so strong. Really well acted game thus far. They got Hugo from A Plague Tale. So for those who like Hugo, he's Joshua.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, great game. Really big fan of what they're cooking right now. And I already planned on being there day one, but this was very convincing. And I feel my thoughts on combat should shift over time. We shall see on that.
Fair enough.
All right, we got 2 warm-up questions. Into the news we go again. Number 1 goes to Mr. Scott, if you're nasty. Duke Gentleman. I've been an Xboxer since Halo and Gears of War hooked me so many years ago. My first reaction to the showcase was extremely positive, but I'd be lying if I didn't experience a little disappointment as there was no Gears or Halo news. However, with time, I've actually become more positive as I'm excited about new properties Xbox has. Starfield, Clockwork Revolution, and the Midnight one for the first time in a while. Xbox's plan seems to be taking shape, and we didn't even see all sorts of other IP they're working on. I'd like your thoughts on Xbox evolving as a platform, their future as a potential market disruptor, and their ability to pivot away from their pillar games. Have a good rest from holding that line. Yes, indeed. It was held. It was held. Now, I thought this was a great question because we never really tackled this angle during the showcase reactions, Cog. Is when it comes to that showcase, you know, the major players outside of Forza, the burger, fries, and shake combo, you only got your fries this time, right? And I thought that was noteworthy because this is what we've been asking for, is that these should be pillars that remain. But when you look at PlayStation, one thing they've done extremely well is letting certain IP define certain generation. So as much as I, by the way, want Sly Cooper and Jack and Daxter to come back, that really defined the PS2 era, for example, for them. Those were some of those mascots. Ratchet and Clank still around to this day. But Xbox has had these things from the 360 generation, and they continue to carry them each and every single one forward, which is exciting. You know, these are your tent poles. But we've always asked, where's the new guys in town that like are going to be the new faces of the company, really? What are the box characters we always talk about? And now, if you noticed, with each of these trailers, it felt like there was a face that you could put on that box, from South of Midnight to Fable and so on and so forth. It felt like there was outside of actually Avowed. Avowed, you didn't really get a face per se, but it felt like that was the shift. It was like there was more to Xbox than just Chief and Marcus Phoenix in a car. And that was awesome to see. So your thoughts on Xbox evolving as a platform, sir?
Love it. Love it. This is what we've always wanted. This is what we wanted. We wanted identity. We wanted those new characters, those new faces to lead us into a generation. And to me, The only reason why Halo or Gears should show up is if you have something extremely substantial to showcase. Clearly, Halo Season 4, that was what they announced before, to kind of hint to you, hey, there wasn't going to be much of a presence. And I've only wanted them there if they had Tatanka ready. And clearly that's not there yet, which I'm fine, because it showed how much they have in the tuck, how much they got cooking with these new faces. And this is bright. This is what I wanted from Xbox. I've always wanted them to shed the Xbox One era stink. You know what I mean? Which is like, bro, like, all the things that could have been, all the IPs you messed up on, no first party, over-reliance on Halo, Gears, and Forza. And that's why people were disinterested. And I love to see the LSM community, who is not, the ones who are not in the Xbox ecosystem, say, and I tell them, they say, bro, now I'm interested. Mm-hmm. And this is what I was trying to drill into Xbox fans the whole generation. You can't think about just your selfish box and in your little capsule. You got to think about growing the brand and getting the people who you lost. These are what they want to see. You see people now like, yo, Bethesda's joint, In Exile's joint, like they're seeing it and it's getting people excited. The masses are speaking, and this is where you start to change things. I'm not saying, oh, they're definitely going to win the generation now. I'm not doing that. But this is when you close the gap, establish your identity, and let's be honest, there is some trepidation on the other side. So the iron's hot right now. Keep the momentum. Keep it going. But yeah, I think, Scott, I think you're onto something. I think a lot of people are finally seeing Xbox is more than the burger, fries and shake, and they see it now. And it's beautiful to see. I'm starting to see people who are the biggest detractors come around. That's good for Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see them redefine themselves from we predicted this, and it's obvious given the pedigree of the studios that they have acquired that they're no longer really going to be the shooter box. They're going to be the RPG box, quite frankly, in a couple of years. And that's great news for me. That's my favorite genre. So keep giving me more of that. That's the best goddamn genre in gaming as far as I'm concerned. So keep giving me more of that.
I'm with you. And I think also they're establishing their identity as far as, like you said, as far as the genres. Look, as much as I want to hashtag just one, Sony does that extremely well, right? We know that. But they're starting to put their hooks into, like you said, the RPG space and these other type of games. And I think they're getting an identity now that they're more, and some people really love that. Some people want the old stuff, but the majority I'm starting to see really like this new direction.
Yeah. I mean, I think just from where we were, how couldn't you? It's just like we weren't going anywhere fast. And as I said, the rules still apply. The sideshows, like Grounded is a bigger sideshow, but something like Pentiment, these are great support pieces. But these are the things that Xbox needs to build around, right? Your South of Midnights, your Fables, your Avoweds, your Hellblade 2s. These are the things they're going to genuinely build around. And hopefully whatever Double Fine's working on next and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Going to talk about them.
Yeah. I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Nox Yoder is our next write-in here, and then we'll get into the news. Hey, Dukes, as a massive fan of Persona and Atlas, I'm excited to see them featured so heavily as Xbox's showcase. However, as my primary consoles are PlayStation and Nintendo, I wonder how significant Atlas and Sega's new relationship with Xbox is. As someone living in Japan, I barely ever see Xbox consoles or product in stores or in enthusiast bars. And I can't imagine anyone here ever playing games like Persona or Yakuza on Xbox first. While the West is a different story, I can imagine many people are like me. Even with these games being day one on Game Pass, I would still rather pay full price for them on PlayStation or Nintendo than play them on my Xbox. So how do you think this new relationship will really materially help Xbox if most people would rather play on other platforms anyways? Thanks. I wanted to pick this one because it sparked a line of thought that I think I've had buried away, but it materialized before me. I think here's the benefit, Knox. Cog and I are looking at it from the angle always of how does Xbox connect with the Japanese audience more? And I think the reality is that's the long game, as in you just got to keep assimilating yourself with big Japanese announcements. And they did that this showcase, but it can't be a one-off, right? They need to, just like PlayStation, the expectation is there's going to be something Japanese here, right? Something that's going to pop off, that's going to really capture the JRPG hearts, right? And typically there is something in that style. Where Xbox, I think, benefits these companies is we know Microsoft is a mostly United States Western focused company. And a lot of these franchises, especially ones that Sega owns, want to introduce their games to the West. And there still is, while it's really watered down, I distinctly remember during, and granted, I remember it because I was part of it, there was a stigma surrounding these Japanese style games during the 360 PS3 era. And with Game Pass, you can have that, as I mentioned earlier, the quiet moment to yourself. No one's got to know, no one's got to see. You're in the privacy of your own home. You're like, damn, that Persona 3 Reload looks kind of cool. I mean, I know the protagonist is edgy weeb, but he's shooting himself to summon a persona. That looks cool. Yeah, I'm going to download that real quick. It turns out you end up really liking that maybe. So Xbox wins because they get the Japanese support that we've all been calling for. Sega and Atlas win because they just got introduced to a new fan. I think that's the idea. I think Sega, they saw Yakuza is talked about more broadly now. It's more widely appealing and celebrated. It was always great. Contrary to my joking slander, Yakuza was always great. But with Game Pass, more people tried it. Conversations picked up. More people started playing it. Now every Yakuza announcement is like, oh, let's go. And it's a big deal for the community across all consoles. Atlas wants the same thing with Persona. It's why I said I think that Xbox is going to be able to finesse I almost said Elder Scrolls. Holy crap. What's on my mind? Persona 6. It's because I heard 6. That's where I went. Yeah. I think that's why, because it's in Atlas's best interest as they're growing the franchise to have their first multi-platform Persona game be the big one. Persona 6. And so I think that's the major thing here, Knox. But of course, with Xbox, it's that gradual barrier breaking. And you're not going to see product being shipped because Xbox probably doesn't. Of course, they'll benefit if you buy the product, but they want you to buy the service. And that service is going to be available on more things than what you'd find in a common store. So as long as you buy the smart TV, that's it. You're good. That's what they want. And so I think that's a big part of it, Knox. That's how I've started to look at that relationship with Xbox and Japan a little bit more, is like it answers everyone's desires in a good way. And it's probably why Atlas was willing to give pretty seismic games over to Game Pass. Like, again, Persona 3 Reload does not need Game Pass, but I think they want to do it because exposure counts, and they're probably not going to do it with Persona 6. If they do it with Persona 6, holy hell, but I doubt it. I'll be happy if it's there. But Cog, your thoughts on what this could mean? I saw a lot of pointing. I saw someone point that out in the comments. Speaking of which, someone mentioned like there's nothing that gets me more hyped than watching Cog point at Maddie when he makes a good point.
Bro,
I was like, imagine being on the receiving end of it while I'm rolling and trying to focus. I'm just like, oh wait, I must be doing really good. Don't fuck this up.
Bro, when you cook it, it's beautiful to watch because it's not much I can add on it. I think that's literally it. I think it's the new audience, and I think that we as gamers selfishly look at like, they're never going to make any dent in Japan. What is it really benefiting? And salute to Nox Yoda because he is giving us unique perspective in the region, right? And I'm glad he wrote in because that really helps perspective, right? But it really does, like you said, it's outside of us. And to me, what I look at their biggest growth market right now, and that's PC Game Pass. So not only is the Xbox console getting these games, and like you said, a user that was like, okay, I'm in Game Pass. I'm really here for Liza P, but everyone's talking about this Persona thing. All right, let me see. Right? Everyone's talking about this Yakuza thing. Let me see. And then it's like, so you have the potential to now open it up to a new audience. And we've heard from developers, and the one that surprised me the most wasn't even Xbox. It was actually Sucker Punch. When they talked about Ghost of Tsushima, they were surprised on how well Western markets received it. They thought this was going to be this niche kind of for the culture region kind of game, and it was embraced. So now you got Sega looking at, y'all like this Yakuza stuff? Y'all like this? You know what I mean? Like, you love Ichiban?
That man cost me a bag. I haven't forgotten yet. We'll talk about that afterwards. Go on.
Facts. You know what I mean? So they are amazed that the West is taking to this because they thought this was just their little local hero regional kind of game that no one is going to buy outside of their region. And you see the success. They can't wait to bloviate Atlas. Oh, we're happy with what's happening with the Yakuza series. Now, hey, here's the whole thing. You want to learn more? Here's the whole thing, that kind of thing. But the other thing I do want to add on is PC Game Pass, because a lot of these games never really came to PC before. Now, if you have, because now I'm an Ally guy, download Persona 5, got all my save data, and I'm playing it as a PC gamer who may never have played these games that at the past may have just been only on PlayStation only, right? So now they're getting in the mix. More users, more eyes, more engagement. And I think about Wo Long. I remember them saying, hey, Echo, hey, Game Pass really excites us. All these eyes that could get on it. So the developers are speaking. I think that's what the change is. And I think that, I think that even if this is like someone's second or third console, they're getting the visibility of games that they normally wouldn't have played on these platforms. So I think it's beneficial for both. And yeah, it's a great relationship on both sides.
Absolutely. I just got to highlight what Ichiban did to me this week. And then we'll move into the news.
What we do? What my man do?
So for a little YouTube background, when your video gets age limited, even in my audience, by the way, which I looked at my analytics, 0.5% of my audience is below the age of 18. So like I'm already going to the right area, right? 18 and up. My video got age limited to 18 and up because a certain man's ass cheeks were in my video. So I contacted you. By the way, monetization limited. So not only did Ichiban cost me many views, it cost me money too. Now, contact YouTube support. If y'all want a good insight on how absolutely borked the process is here for YouTube, they have a live chat service. Now, I've used it before to success. I've been like, hey, this got limited, or hey, this got no limited ads. I just like to reverse this. This is a fine video. And usually they're like, yeah, sure. Okay, here you go. Dustin had a similar issue with our predictions episode for Defining Duke, where they just randomly limited us. And then I had this, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a video game character's butt cheeks. I think it's okay, man. So I reach out to them. I'm like, here's the link. Here's what happened. I said it blurred it out just in case. It's all fine because YouTube has a handy blur feature. I'm like, yeah. I said, if we can reverse this. So they send me their terms and conditions. They're like, yeah, sorry, we can't reverse this at all. I'm like, okay. Now at this point, by the way, this whole time I'm assuming it's Ichiban's ass. No one has confirmed this to me, but it's the only thing in there that would be 18 plus because I don't curse up a storm or anything like that. So I asked them, I'm like, all right, for future's sake, can I know what happened here so I can avoid it? And they're like, no, you cannot. Because if we told you that, creators would work around that. I'm like, so you're going to take my money away because I need to make a living here. And then when I need information to then work around the problem, you can't even tell me it's this dude's ass. Like, you just can't even tell me that. That's how ridiculous YouTube is, y'all. That's why you see YouTubers still, like, even though YouTube has said you can say shit in the first 30 seconds of your video, no one's doing it because we're like, the second we lose out, we lose everything. So this video was on track to perform probably 200K. And it was at 60K. It got age limited mid-show last week. Remember, I was like, oh, fuck. Because I got the update on my desktop. I was like, oh, that's like the worst thing you can see because it's been up for a couple hours. Taking it down, re-uploading is not going to help. And so it stops dead in its tracks because what happens when the ads get limited, YouTube stops pushing your content because they're not going to make money off of it. So they don't care how it does. So it just dies. And so the video did well overall, but knowing how well it could have done, then my man Ichiban, start contacting those shareholders, Ichiban. I need my money back.
Fact that he apparently, what's the name of this one? The something of wealth.
The infinite wealth has to come my way.
Damn, my man snatching up Maddie. Oh, man, snatching up the ass. Oh, man. Yo, that's crazy.
He thought I had a vendetta before, but watch out, Ichiban. Watch out.
Man, but so I feel for you. The thing that sucks is not being able to identify what it is so you can avoid it. Like, that's ridiculous. And that's the thing about YouTube, them not really having a competitor in the space that kind of annoys me because you're literally at their mercy. Like, there's nothing you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always joke that their boss is like the Inspector Gadget hand with the faceless person and the cat. You can't see who's controlling the scenes. They got the evil laugh. Like, Yeah, I hate that joint.
Yeah, it's ridiculous,
That
but
sucks.
couldn't tell me a thing about it. So I'd say play by the rules, but no one really knows what the rules are. You just gotta. My rules are informed, by the way, by hearsay from people talking to me. Like that's how you figure out the rules of YouTube. It's insane.
Facts.
It's insane. Like what they want to push, what they don't want to push. It's just having friends who just the information trickles down.
Yep.
Jimmy Champagne specials, I like to call it.
Salute to Jimmy for real.
All right, let's get into the news. Enough of my YouTube shenanigans. Xbox Showcase Extended arrived after the fact of the Xbox Showcase. This was on Tuesday. It was about an hour and change long. We got some announcements. We got some deep dives into other parts of games that we already saw. The first thing we saw was Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty got an extended deep dive on the expansion's new location, Dogtown. There was another Keanu Reeves interview as well. My man was as weird as ever again.
He's so crazy.
My man's out of pocket. Like he's just, he's like dodgy in all his answers. I don't know. He's tweaking, but the expansion looks great. I know there was hands-on previews at did you play?
No, I didn't. Shout out to Jez Corden who saved me. He said, stop playing Cyberpunk right now. I keep seeing you. And I'm like, no, but I'm really getting back into it. He's like, bro, they're going to revamp. He went out there. He put this out public record, so I can say it on. He put it on Xbox too, so don't get mad at me, Jazz. They were like, they are changing everything from a systems level, bro, they was like, it's going to be almost essentially a new game. So start your save, and then it's going to be integrated in. So I'm going to hold off. And I got to, last Duke, I was on the high of Starfield, and rightfully so, but I gotta apologize. Maddie was right. Like,
what was I right about? What?
Because you was like, Cog, like you were like, I get it. You were like, I'm still gonna play, and I'm like, September, I don't know. I ain't gonna front. Like,
okay.
That Phantom Liberty is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna front. Like, so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some extra hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure it out because, bro, like it really looks good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure 2 games at once with that one.
Dude, I'm in the same boat, and I've covered both these extensively. The fact that I had so much from the Xbox Showcase that I still have yet, as of recording this on my channel, to talk about anything Cyberpunk related is nuts to me. But that's how much was there that was in my wheelhouse for all these years, man. But this expansion looks incredibly good. Like I already spoke to the story part of things last week, but when it comes to the gameplay and the overhauls, like that's what I've been hearing was like, it's kind of this almost, I want to say remake, but overhaul of all the systems within the game.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that because there were patches that were fitting in new perks, redefining perks. So to give them time to cook with an expansion, I'm hyped for them. I'm still a little worried about that release window. I wonder if they're going to check themselves and shift like a month later or something like that.
October, bro. Put it in Forza.
Yeah, right. Just put it against the driving game. Bro. You're fine.
You're gonna be fine. Let me rock. Because then next gen only. I'm loving that aspect. And then if they keep it up, we've heard the rumors that they're not finished with Cyberpunk, that we might get, you know what I'm saying, a sequel. So I'm pulling for them. I just selfishly want them out of them. I want a whole month to Starfield. That's just me selfishly, to be honest.
I agree. Next up, we saw High on Life with its High on Knife gameplay teaser, and it was kind of like more horror focused and whatnot. Some new weapons were showing off. So nothing else. They just said it's coming soon. Any thoughts on what we saw there?
It looks funny. It's hilarious. It's good to see them continue to give support for games like this. And are we going to talk about? Is Hi-Fi in this, or we didn't even talk about this?
Hi-Fi is in this. Yeah, I got everything that happened during this show.
Okay, cool. So we do.
It's all in order and how we saw it. Yeah.
I'm glad to see the continued support for the Xbox gems, the diamonds that came out. So don't forget, this was fire, and we got more content. Yeah. And again, it's keeping that good momentum from X. They in a good pocket right now. I'm liking what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm keen on this one. Again, like my biggest critique with High on Life was the gameplay and how it felt. So I don't know how into this I'll be outside of the humor, but we'll see. I'll stop by. See what's up.
Pull up.
This one's all you, Cog. We have a write-in for it too. Lamplighters League. It's coming out October 3rd this year, and this is a Game Pass Day 1 game. One Tick Hall writes in, Hey, Mr. RPG Matty and Mr. Turn-Based Cog. First, I wanted to thank you both for recommending Wasteland 3 again with the past video. You two sang its praises when it first came out. It convinced me, a person who typically avoids turn-based, to give it a fair shake, and man, this opened my eyes to a whole new world of gaming, and I haven't looked back since then. That being said, turn-based is eating good in Game Pass this fall, with Xbox announcing another tactical turn-based game coming day one to Game Pass. Gotta ask, are we rocking with Lamplighters League on October 3rd, or are we making a business decision to go elsewhere? Otherwise, I'd love to hear your insight on the reveal trailer. Thanks, Dukes, and remember to hold the line. Thank you, One Tick. We appreciate you. Cog, this is a cog-ass game, and from what we saw the first time to now, it's been cleaned up a lot. This looks good, dude. Kind of that mixture of like XCOM, but it all because there's even a part in the trailer, dude, where they show kind of the world map and all these different operations you can do. And it reminds me of, I always forget the name, and then you always remind me of it. It's the kind of Cold War era game, Phantom Doctrine.
Phantom Doctrine.
It feels like a baby between these two games. And so it looks great, but that release window, man. But another great day one Game Pass game. Your thoughts on Lamplighters League?
Complete card game. And I like the art style. It's giving me a lot of Indiana Jonesy energy. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. You know, you got the sneaking aspect. You have the, overall base layer kind of thing going on. This is a total turn-based card game. I will be there, you know what I mean? And again, the beauty of turn-based is, again, now my newfound friend, I can catch up on all my turn-based when I'm ready to go. And yeah, this is on it as well. So yeah, definitely, absolutely is on fire with that. And I'm glad the homie is play Wasteland 3 One Tick, because yeah, it's about time we put respect on in Exile's name. And I'm glad you're playing these. I'm glad more people are playing these type of games, especially after Midnight Suns. People are starting to see. I feel a little responsible to get my genre back up, running, because these games are fun, man. They're really good, and people have to give other genres a chance. And that's how I felt when I remember looking at XCOM. I was like, "What is that?" And then becoming completely addicted. So cool to see the community give these games.
Just takes one game. That's it.
Just one.
Just one. Avowed was up next, kind of reiterating some information, but just want to make sure we cover it. It was an interview again with Carrie Patel. She said that you don't need to play Pillars 1 and 2 to understand the story, but there are returning characters from Deadfire / recognizable parts of the world. They said you're not a watcher like prior games, and you do have a unique connection. They call it a soul connection to the world, and are this envoy of the Empire, as we covered previously. And then again, compared the size of the game to The Outer Worlds or KOTOR 2 as a series of interconnected open zones. So any added thoughts here on Avowed, if we got all of that out of our system?
We got most of it. What was homegirl's name? Because I really like Carrie Patel. Yeah. I really love the way she presented and discussed this game. Yeah. And I felt way more connected to it as well. So yeah, she did a good job. Not really much more to add. And we know what type of pocket it is. I'm not worried.
She's dope. Black Rock. I've interviewed her before. When I went to surprise for once. I'm the one who interviewed someone who's an OG. Yeah. When I went to the Outer Worlds event in I think it was Santa Monica, I interviewed her. And that was the most tired I have ever been in my life. I distinctly remember going through the raw files for it. And I remember I was just like there was a point in the interview where I looked like I was about to pass out. And I had to strategically just stitch some gameplay in at that moment there.
Long days, long nights, bro. I know about that.
I didn't sleep for 48 hours. It was bad. Because what happened was I can't sleep on planes. I had to do a red eye back because it was going to snow in New York and I would have been stuck. So I was like, all right, I gotta fly out tonight.
You was hurt,
bro. I was hurt. And I've never been more tired. That's always what I tell people. Like that's the most tired I've been. But Carrie Patel, awesome woman. I was wrong, by the way. I remember saying I didn't know what she was directing a couple of weeks ago on Defining Duke, but this is as I've mentioned before. This is what she has been working on, which is cool because I know she was behind the Peril on Gorgon DLC, which you could find as cause for concern because Murder on Eridanos, Megan Starks is out. She's at Activision
now. Megan's gone. Yeah.
She might be working on that RPG over at Infinity Ward now, which very keen to know what that is. Yeah, Peril on Gorgon to me of the two was the weaker expansion for Outworld.
I mean, Gorgon was cool. It just wasn't as good as Meridanos.
Was just chef's kiss.
Was next level. Yeah, that was my man's. And they did their thing. And Megan, yeah.
The first Descendant was shown off. It's a free-to-play third-person looter shooter on Unreal Engine 5. There was Series X gameplay with an announcement of another beta with crossplay coming August 22nd and going all the way to the 28th. This one looked pretty, but I have no added thoughts on it.
Yeah, looter shooter fans, we getting excited. We like the look from it. We got an eye on it. We always like new competition in the space.
Yeah.
And
I think it was a game from Korea as well. So
this has a great vibe. Gonna definitely give it a chance. And I'm all about new entrants as long as they can push the genre forward, and then that gives Destiny competition to get on it behind. So I love stuff like this.
I like it.
No, it looks good so far.
Towerborn was shown off again. We got more gameplay, and it was confirmed it was a seasonal game. So they talked about new quest zones, new things coming to the game every season. So I don't know, was this your expectation when you saw this game? Because I wasn't, and that kind of cooled me off a little bit. I was like, no, I wasn't looking for this from the Banner Saga team. I was not looking for a seasonal game. I trust them still. It could still be fire. So I'm going to go in with an open mind, but this was a little bit of a cooler for me.
Yeah, it threw me for a loop. I didn't know they were going with this direction with it. I was thinking more traditional Banner Saga, kind of flavor. But again, I'm willing to give it a shot. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that part. It's funny you said that because I felt the same way. And I was like, all right, let's see. It still looks cool, but I'll give it a shot. But I don't know now how much I'm going to be long-term invested.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But we'll see.
Yeah. I'll give it a shot, though, for sure, because they've certainly earned that much.
Yes.
Fallout 76 appeared again, showing off 2 new events, new daily ops, and the Once in a Blue Moon update, which is arriving on my birthday. That's funny. June 20th. They're adding new cryptids, and they confirmed that Atlantic City is coming in 2024. Nicholas Brillhart writes in, greetings, Corporate Cog and Marketing Maddie. With a successful showcase under their belts, Xbox looks to have a bright future ahead of themselves. That being said, with the exception of Bethesda Maryland, I have some worries about the management behind the rest of the ZeniMax studios. During the extended showcase, it was revealed that 76's next big update is launching June 20th. This, of course, is the same day as the launch of the next major expansion for the Elder Scrolls Online. This alone wouldn't have me worried, but coming off of Redfall, it had me asking, what the hell are they doing over there? Take care and have a there's always next year for Banjo kind of day. Thank you, Nicholas, for writing in. Obviously, if you have any thoughts on the update, feel free. I think we've shared or discussed a little bit, but what do you make of this overlap here for the release?
I will say this, though. We got called out. I will pull out my homie's name. One of the LSM community DM'd us, DM'd me after our 76 slander last episode. I was like, Carl, just let you know, there are people who are excited for this this content. And I was just like, look, I feel you, bro. But until you can tell me about the engagement, but don't let my hate stop your enjoyment. If you loving it, do your thing.
No, let it stop, because when you stop is when they stop supporting it, and then we get what we really bought into the series for. All right, how about that? How about that for a tone shift? We're always trying not to step on toes, but now I'm going to.
Dog Maggie has returned.
I'm kidding.
Listen,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. Just
enjoy what you want to enjoy. Just not for us. We're waiting for you to go off into the sunset, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know that they were dropping the same date.
Mm-hmm. Necrom is dropping the same day as the 76 update. And I'm guessing it's because Necrom's more substantial. 76 is a little smaller. So it just happens to be what it is. But I guess maybe they must just think like these are 2 completely different communities that have zero interest in the opposite games. Which I guess makes sense, but I don't know. For me as a Bethesda fan, like these games are both interesting to me, but there are people who are like, I'm just an Elder Scrolls fan. I'm just a Fallout fan. I think even just spacing it out by a week and say like, hey, look, Elder Scrolls is going here. Like, go the 27th Fallout. Okay, sure. You certainly made everyone wait long enough with 76. So
yeah,
very strange.
Why make your audience choose even if they're different? Mm-hmm. Why make them choose, right? Because what if there is someone now that's interested in 76 that was I don't get that.
definitely weird. This one, it seems like you have some thoughts on. Hi-Fi Rush got an arcade challenge update. It's going to be available once you finish the game. It adds 5 new original songs and 2 new enemies, alongside 2 new modes known as BPM Rush and Rhythm Tower. You can actually call in Cinnamon and Smidge into battle now, and this is arriving July 5th. And it looks like a good time. Like, one of the modes strips away all your abilities, and as you ascend the tower, you're going to get all your abilities back. And then BPM mode is just like high action, like just really, really quick. So what are your thoughts on this, sir? Hi-Fi Rush, this is likely where the 10 achievements were coming in that we were talking about leaked. So this is a new update coming to the game. They're continuing to support it. So what do you have to say about that?
Free 99. That's all I cared about. I said, "Oh, this ain't paid. I thought it was a DLC." So I was like, "All right, all right, I'll get them their bread. They earned that." I was willing, you know what I'm saying? Almost in tribute to the greatness of the stealth drop. Oh no, free 99, baby. We in. We see what's going on. Do a couple of missions, get Cinnamon in the mix. I like the new suits for Corsica. Amazing looking.
I always love
what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah. Listen, I got no problem with free. Cog loves the free.
Same here. Yeah, I don't know if I'll go in and play this, but I just love that they're continuing to support it. It's a great look, and they seem to be having a lot of fun with it. So July 5th again for this big update coming to the game, and again 10 new achievements look to be inbound.
Yeah, salute.
Necrom, the Elder Scrolls Online expansion, got an extended preview. I didn't detect any real brand new information being shown off, just for those who are more enthusiasts about that game. It was just an extended look at what's coming to the game. Afterwards, it was announced Phasmophobia is coming to console in early access beginning August 2023. This is a big deal, dude. This is a really popular game. I don't know if Xbox got their mitts on it exclusively. I'll double check in a moment here. But Phasmophobia
looks like both with crossplay though.
Yeah. That
PS5, PSVR, VR2 as well.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah, that's good. So exclusivity aside, this is still a big deal to have, just because people love this game, man. They love Phasmophobia. My whole friend group is obsessed with it. Me, I'm just like, I prefer to not wet my pants today, so I'm gonna have to pass y'all. That's okay. But Phasmophobia is a wave indeed. So great get for all console owners. Any thoughts on this?
Shout out to the horror. I like this 4-player co-op, so I might try that aspect with it. But these joints, they test you, man. They out here with the Ouija board and the dog. They doing all type of craziness. I'm gonna have to play with the homies on this one if I give it a shot. Because man, these horror joints, man. Shout out to Jimmy Champagne and them. They love this. Shout out to my man, I forget, Wilmy Hood. He loves his horror too. So. Yeah, they got what they wanted with this.
100%. Exoprimal was shown off again with some information from the Capcom showcase recycled. They showed off a gauntlet mode, promised more suits are coming to the game after launch, and again, gave it a more extensive showing than Capcom's own showcase there. So I think it shows how much they're in on Game Pass here. But this game looks fun. I don't know. I was kind of surprised with the way I kind of slowly turned the corner on it when I was watching. I was thinking, okay,
coming around now.
Yeah. Horde games don't excite me as much anymore, because the enemy archetypes are what make the Horde games, and that's like my one caveat with Exoprimal is I feel like I have yet to see, okay, what's our version of like a boomer in Left 4 Dead, right? Like, what's the enemy archetypes? Because so far all I'm seeing are these different suits that interact with the dinosaurs in unique ways, but they'll throw like gross amount of waves of them at you, and I want to know if there's going to be any specific dino types. We'll see, but overall,
I love the look
solid.
Yeah, look good.
ID at Xbox Acceleration Program showed off 11 games. This is a platform that they say is designed to have a mission to empower underrepresented creators with the resources and information needed to bring their creativity, innovation, and originality to Xbox. Alongside that came a little interview with a little Q&A for all of these games that you can read over on the Xbox Wire if you so desire. But a lot to pick from there. I don't know if anything stood out to you during this, because for me, not necessarily.
I just love the program. You know what I mean? I get a chance to deep dive with a lot of these specific games, but I love to see that, underrepresented communities, people giving a shot. And this is what ID at Xbox has really done great. Got a chance to talk with the great Chris Charla and to give him his flowers and basically just say, look, you guys have come a long way because I've been on you guys in the Xbox One era. You guys, just be honest, they were not good at all. They did not have things in place for indies, and to see where it's come is tremendous. And I love stuff like this because you never know. I forgot who made the comment, but even the biggest games, the AAA, they all started, majority of them started as an indie first before they became the superstars that they are. So these are the next generation. These are the rookie class kind of thing. So I like to see, especially underrepresented communities who, don't get a shot, and as well as up and coming co-hosts that, are making a game. I'll say it. We've got to keep the streak alive.
Yeah, true. We almost got through. I would. I don't want to sound egotistical. I would lose my mind though if my game was announced at a montage. I know some are like, take what we can get, but like,
bro,
yeah,
it hits, right? It really hits. And for me, the closest I have to that is through a good friend of mine. He's a developer. His name's Stephen Danton. And it's like how you I believe in what you're doing, right? So it's like, I remember before his game, Unto the End, which I was following for a long while, and it went dark. And then, he lost the publisher and then he resurfaced and I saw him and I'm like, oh, yo, you got the game. Like, yo, like I hit him up. It was literally one E3. His game came on for 1 minute in a sizzle reel in an E3, maybe 2018. I'm in the theater, like, yo, and people are like, what's going on with Kai? Like, why is he? And I hit him. I was just so proud because I know what that means. Yeah. As an indie, as your first one, it means something. So it's the same way, like I'm pulling for you. Like I know what the sizzle reel means, bro. It's the start. We all got to start somewhere. And it was a beautiful thing to see.
For clarification,
yes,
I would not want to be in the sizzle reel. I'd want my own slice.
Oh,
yeah, sorry.
Speaking into existence.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure it was clear. I don't want to make you look foolish there. I want to make sure it's clear that, well, yes, I'll take whatever, but I would definitely argue for a little bit more.
Speaking into existence. That's the energy I like. You talking that talk. Let's go. Love it. Let's go.
We'll see. But we'll see whose stage I end up on, if at all. Wouldn't that be something, bro? Like I'm not going to tell anyone if that day comes and I know I'm going to be in one of these shows. I will not tell anyone because I will want to go around and see the authentic. Like I will peep into the ILP. I will peep into everyone's streams and just watch as people like, oh, what the fuck is that, Matt? That'd be so funny. Hopefully I can do that.
Just really see the government up on stage with the studio name.
Woo! Microsoft Flight Simulator's Doom partnership was explained. Apparently, Legendary had contacted Asobo back in 2021, and they highlighted some of the locations from the Doom universe that you'll be able to visit. This comes out November 3rd of this year, and our man Paris Lilly showed up once more, went into the danger zone again, and highlighted what's happening with Microsoft Flight Sim.
Yeah, shout out to Paris, man. He's out here doing it big time. And pleasure to meet him as well in person for the first time. But you know what? I gotta give Flight Sim his flowers. I rewatched that trailer. It was really impressive. It was like
2024 one?
I'm like, I love all the new stuff they doing. I really do. That's good, it got me. Listen, it'll be a jump in, jump out, probably never go back to it. But I want to know what rescuing this thing is. How does that work? I want to do mountain rescue. I want to save someone in a bad situation. I want to know what that is. Like, it is kind of fire to me that a game was thinking about that. So I am going to boot it up. It's going to take like 200 gigs in my hard drive. I'm going to do a couple missions, then I'll remove it all because I need my hard drive.
Sir.
I mean, it did move nice on the Series S, but yeah, we're going to see. I'll probably do it on the X just to see the most fidelity on that.
Got you. Go Mecha Ball got announced. It's coming 2024, day one. It's a Game Pass. Game looked pretty fun, actually. So you can look out for that one. Liza P was shown off again. I didn't know this because I haven't played the demo, but there's this mechanic that plays off of lying or telling the truth that I couldn't get a full gauge on it, but I love the idea of it. Of like, there are choices that you could make and I don't know what they necessarily influence beyond like your general stats and everything, but the whole Pinocchio lying thing is a factor here, which I'm curious if your nose grows or
that would be hilarious.
See, like Pinocchio looks cool, so it's like no way they're gonna like give him this wild nose. Like this man doesn't look goofy, so we can't do that to him.
Yeah, at all. But yeah, it looks good. I see. Shout out to my homegirl Erica Cuts for the win. I've seen her play. I didn't get a chance to get into that demo yet, but the reports are mostly positive, clearly Bloodborne inspired.
That's fine.
Only issue is people are having. I'm seeing is the speed. They feel he's really plotting, kind of thing. But love the gameplay, and from what I've seen the first boss encounter, and it looked pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm hoping to try it within the next week. That's downloaded on my Series X, so it's ready to go.
Yep, same. Me, you, and Final Fantasy as well. Mm-hmm.
Hellblade 2 was shown off again. It highlighted the performance capture in their new studio space where the game is shot. And much like we saw in the first one, they confirmed that there was a boat in the game. But the reason this one was significant to me, Cog, is when I was watching the performance capture studio, they number one highlighted there would be multiple people in the boat. They showed what was in the motion capture studio was way bigger. And the person before introducing it said, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a boat in the game. And to me, my understanding, you know what I thought of right away? I think Hellblade 2 is going to take a lot of inspiration from God of War. And I'm curious if you're getting that vibe. You know how you had the boat in God of War and you'd have this semi-open world. The first one, I haven't played Ragnarok much, but you'd have this semi-open world. You go from location to location on your boat and you had people, Atreus, on your boat kind of talking to you as you went from point A to point B. I'm wondering if you were getting that same vibe, but otherwise it was just a snippet from their development documentary, and it was just a detail that stood out to me. So what do you make of it, sir? Outside of, I know, no mention of combat. I know no sword was drawn.
Tell me that part. I'm waiting for you to tell me that was the sword on the boat.
I didn't see your blade, sir.
Look, Ninja Theory used, I love you, but you're still in Cog's doghouse right now. I love you, but no, like, don't come outside until I see swords and I see fighting and violence. I need violence now. like, bro, like, look, you know what's crazy? I'm confident it's going to be amazing. I am. It's just, I don't understand the choices here, on the way they're handling this rollout. In particularly, like, bro, you came out with the Series S. We understand you are graphically amazing in engine. We get it. But it's just like, I'm at the point now, it's just like, I don't need to see you until you showing me that thing. So I don't know. Maybe they just felt pressure. I just don't get it. Now with the boat thing, not to sound disrespectful, I'm not impressed. The first game started off in the boat. Start off in the boat and you're coming through and she's talking. All right, great. You got more people talking. We understand the scale. We understand what is it. They did Iceland, and I know it's going to be photorealistic. You just get to it though, man. Come on, let's get to it, Ninja Theory. Otherwise, don't really want to see you until you in my doghouse right now. Until you come out, I'm not happy. I am not happy. I've been at all Xbox executives mad at me. I was like, I did not like that. But that you ain't gonna like me for that one. This cost you a 9 because bro. If they would have showed Hellblade 2 clanging and you know what I mean, like, and really in some power, bro. This is the game. I'm gonna tell you why this is so important. This is the game that I know a lot of PlayStation fans are really. This is the one that can turn the tide and make people go. This is one of those that'll make people go, yo, I need an Xbox. And it's not that the game ain't gonna be good, that I don't think that can happen, but you're not convincing them right now. I see them, they're like, oh, there she goes, talking into the wind.
The crazy part was talking to the wind. That's so true. The crazy part was it starts off with the actress going like, oh yeah, last time we showed you a cinematic. I'm like, oh, it's gotta be gameplay now. If we're gonna get combat. And she's just like, this time I'm gonna show you a fucking cinematic. It's like, okay.
Bro, you touched the puddle. All right. You did all that to touch the puddle and then end the trailer. Like, no. So yeah, you got to get out the doghouse.
That's what we would have taken a sizzle reel for, by the way. That's one we would have taken a sizzle reel for. I think that would have helped that game.
Snippet. Even Fable showed a snippet. Like, you ain't even show a snippet, dog. Like, come on, Ninja Theory. In the doghouse. See you in the developer direct. Sorry.
We got a sizzle reel for the Xbox Fan Fest, and afterwards, we saw Lightyear Frontier, which is coming early 2024 to Game Pass. I don't want to pick on indie devs, man, but y'all just gotta not do these fake Ubisoft like playthroughs. Like, that was 2013 energy, man. It was bad. It was pretty bad. Like, just the acting in there. I get what they were going for, but the game looks pretty. I love the idea of running around mechs, and there's something that a lot of these devs need to understand, which is, like, you may know the fire thing beyond that door. Like, this one ended like, oh, I found something, mysterious door. Oh, that leads to one of the dungeons. I'm like, oh, they're going to show the dungeon, right? And it ends. They're like, coming early 2024. I'm like, you just missed the hook. Like, you missed the part that we all care about. You may know that's fire once they see it, but that was your window. You missed it. So unfortunate for them. But any thoughts on Lightyear Frontier?
No, not really doing that for me per se. So I'm just like, maybe later as you get closer, but not right now. Nothing for me just yet.
This was the big one, I feel. A lot of games coming in Game Pass, but most notably, Neon White, and most importantly, Sea of Stars. Day one, Game Pass. Xbox, great get here. They like pixel art, man. What can I say? They said, oh, you don't got that Octopath? No worries. We're going to take Eden Chronicles. We're going to take Sea of Stars. And no worries. We're going to do all that. And this is from the developer, Sabotage, developers of The Messenger. One of the funniest games you can play. Messenger is so criminally underrated. I'm so happy you played it, because I feel like everyone I talk to, no one has played it. It's such a good game. It has two art styles, which is already awesome. 8-bit, 16-bit, and you pass through time that way. But the writing, dude, like, that's why when I heard they're making an RPG, I'm like, you mean you get to put the writing on full display? Like, you made a 2D action side scroller. Now you get to put the writing on full display? Yo, I'm in. So the day one Game Pass get for the Chrono Trigger inspired Sea of Stars, to me, is exciting. Neon White coming to the platform as well. Sir, any thoughts on this big Game Pass drop?
I am so proud of them right now, because this is my man. Like, this guy, let me tell you this, the developer, on Twitter goes by Sabotoy, and from Sabotage initially. And I remember when Messenger came out, and I'm glad you said it. This one of the best games nobody played. And I told him, I was like, bro, you got something. And people just thought, oh, it's just a ninja game and clone, and that's it. It has some of the best writing. Absolutely. Bro, the writing is so good. I would go in there and stay for about 30 minutes just talking to the shopkeeper, and him getting mad at me like, bro, you got a mission. Don't do the work. Like, what are you doing in here? Like, are you really keep coming back? Like, bro, it is so the funniest, bro. Like, Messenger is a classic. Like, when it went out of Game Pass, I was like, nah, I gotta buy it. I gotta buy it. I gotta forever have you. Like, Messenger was amazing. I was there. I interviewed him for Picnic Paddock, the DLC, which was a nice, fun, little hilarious take on it. And to see him, be a part of this, I already know the writing's gonna be great. Clearly, Chrono Trigger inspired. He's even got the composer, from Chrono Trigger involved. Bro, I'm so proud. This is a level up, and I'm pulling for Sea of Stars. And this is, when I saw, I'm like, this is so Maddie. This is so Maddie right here. But no, I'm in because I got to support my mans right now. Yeah. This is his next one. I'm proud. That game looks really good. I know.
I think that's, what is the 28th one? Sea of Stars.
The beauty is Game Pass.
August 29th, sir. August 29th.
Okay. We got.
Yeah, you got 2 days.
2 weeks. When is Starfield is 9-1. Don't say it's 9-6. Wait, Starfield is 9-1.
Well, you got the early access, right?
Oh, I got the early access.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can't go by the original street date no more. I've been corporate cogged in.
It's
9-1. We got 2 days. Oh, we gotta support my man, though. I gotta support it. Hey, I'm gonna fire it up, bro. Oh, and then we gonna get back.
Get the
we gonna
telemetry data
circle
for
back.
him. That's it.
Yeah, we gonna circle back, though. I'm gonna support.
And then the last thing that was shown was 33 Immortals with Phil Spencer, which was kind of interesting to see him really alongside this game. And he played alongside the entire development team to show off how you all start separate and then you come together in this big dungeon. And I think Paris Lilly had a great description of it on his Twitter account that I wanted to highlight. He said, it's like Hades, but with your friends. And I'm like, that's a good selling point right there. Game looked great, though. Extensive showing here. And Xbox, I mean, when you put Phil next to something, it's a clear statement of like, we believe in this. So there's a big vouch for this one here, just on that alone. But what did you think of what you saw from 33 Immortals now that we got more beyond the trailer?
Yeah, I remember when it showcased at the game showcase, when I first saw it, I was like, man, the first thing I thought was Hades. I was like, this has Hades energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you hear the buzzword, when games start to go through their feature list, they start to tell you, boom, this action thrilling. And I remember 33 player co-op. I'm like, what? like what? And then to see them sit down and, like you said, to see Phil there.
Yeah.
That hits different. And it's funny because I feel like me and Phil do share a lot of artsy-fartsy stuff. Like he likes Planet of Lana, I like Planet of Lana. He likes, 33 Immortals.
No. This man likes Vampire Survivors.
I don't hate Vampire Survivors. I just don't S-tier it like Phil. Like, nah, bro, Phil, we ain't doing that. Like, salute to you. You love it like that, but it ain't the greatest game.
I should just cancel my game and go make a Vampire Survivor style game just to get this dude to greenlight my game. Probably put in the showcase ender and everything, bro. It's over.
You want to be on stage. That's all you got to be.
That's all you got to make a Vampire Survivor stuff.
But this, like, I like the take. This is ambitious, man. I want to see what it does. And again, it fits the Game Pass model, but it looks cool. It looks dope. Yeah. And I can't wait to see how they pull this off. Like, I need to be a part of this. So yeah, this is one of those ones for me. I got my eye on. I thought it was, again, if you're going to show indies at a showcase, you got to show those unique ones, the ones that are doing something different, that have a nice twist to it. And that's why this came off well. And it was a great addition to the show.
Absolutely. And so that was all that was at the Xbox Showcase Extended. So decent amount of positive updates here, extensive showings on other indies, and kind of the double dipping was avoided for the main showcase and saved for here, which is good. And then we got added information on major Xbox exclusives like Hellblade 2, but also Avowed.
Of course.
With that, we have numerous updates on Starfield for our second news item. This comes across interviews with Todd Howard, Phil Spencer, and Matt Booty. We want to start with this one because we got a lot of write-ins. I know we talked about it in passing last episode, but we'll dive a bit deeper now. Todd had confirmed that the game on Series X is 4K 30 FPS and on Series S 1440p 30 FPS. Mike Poe writes, Dearest Duke, so it's official, Starfield will run at 4K 30 FPS on Series X. I may not be looking in the right places, but it seems that this news hasn't garnered the catastrophic blowback that some might have predicted. Did the quality of Starfield's Direct go a long way in easing the 30 FPS blow that God Howard dealt to us in his IGN interview? Personally, I think it did, but I'd love to hear the Duke's thoughts on this. And I think so. This is what we predicted. A little small victory lap. This is what we said to people, that the ambition, if it's clear, people will not care. That's just all there is to it. Would we like it that way? Sure. I think there's also the added benefit here that a large majority of the major BGS fans are on PC. And they already have everything set up because of mods. So they're going to be well taken care of. And so they don't mind. But again, I think when you looked at Redfall, I hate to keep bringing it up, but when you looked at Redfall and you looked at Starfield, before we even got the 45-minute direct, the difference in ambition and what each game was doing was immediately apparent, which is why we said, 50-50 maybe, but I think it'd be generous. I think it might be like 70-30. I think most people don't give a damn. The game looks incredible and is doing so many things that, as I said, people will happily play 30 FPS if you're doing things that haven't been done before, which is a rarity, but Starfield is doing that.
Well said. I think what it shows, this highlights that Twitter and social media sometimes is truly an echo chamber, because immediately after the news happened, I was concerned, like, yo, how's this gonna go, right? Bro, did you see the Starfield pre-orders and the Steam numbers
Top seller.
on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. So what it goes to show me
Number one, I
is
should specify for those who didn't know.
number
Yeah.
one. What it goes to show me is gameplay and innovation is still key. Graphical fidelity does have its place. Make no mistake. We're not going to minimize that. And again, like you said, this is not the Duke saying, oh, we're happy it's 30 and of course we want it to be 60. Of course. You know what I'm saying? No one is saying that. But we rightfully predicted, because of the scope and ambition of this game, that it's most likely through all. You know what's funny? I rewatched it. They were using just Corden terms like filmic and like the certain verbiage. Because I must have been yelling in the theater and so crazy when things are happening. I didn't hear all the verbiage. They were literally hinting all throughout that direct 45 minutes about picking up every object and how, insane the scope is going to be and what they truly value and what they truly care in our games. And that's it. It's not about settling. It's not about, the gamers settling and we're not trying to push them. We also got to be honest too about the capabilities of the consoles. At some point, when things are so CPU dependent and so algorithmic, you have all these systems, that does take a tax on the CPU. They have chosen. I think the issue is this. People are getting mad with Phil's comments on creative choice. And, when he's probably saying creative choice, again, I can't speak for him, but I'm going to assume that they are leaving that in Bethesda's hands to how they want to handle their game. If they want to go 60 frames per second, but have a lesser scope to hit the target, that's on them. But for those who truly have an issue, right, there's a place for you. like no disrespect. Like there is a place for you that you can, in the Xbox ecosystem, that you can play it, which is on PC. I'm going to play it. I've already figured it in my mind. It was going to be 30. You know what I mean? I have the option of playing it on PC if I choose. But when I see something innovative, when I see something that no other game is doing, and now we can officially put all that No Man's Sky nonsense to, remember when people would just say, oh, it's No Man's Sky, that's all it is. Yeah. Miss me with that. Miss me with all that. Watch that directive. Miss me with that. So at the end of the day, I felt what Mike is saying is correct, because people watched that direct and said, oh my God, I got to be a part of that.
Well,
that is something different. But
I was just going to say, visual fidelity. It's interesting hearing Todd saying we typically reach for fidelity. I would kindly disagree. I don't think their games are pretty in the traditional sense. They were beautiful in sometimes like an ugly way, like, oh, that jank. But also like it was the vistas, the views, the density of the world. Like that was the beauty in it, which is still a form of beauty. But when you look at I'll even pick out the food as just a very specific example. When he was scrolling through, like, we love stuff. And he's like, yeah, we even obsess over food. And you looked at some of the models.
Bro, and the sandwiches.
Yeah, they were high detail sandwiches. Bro, and I know some people are going to roll their eyes and think we're really just gassing it up. But the truth is, like, there was insane detail even in that. And a developer from God of War had commented on this, saying that they thought, they say it is a choice. It said 60 FPS on this scale would be a large hit to the visual fidelity. My guess is they want to go for a seamless look and less pop in. And so I think Phil isn't wrong for calling it a creative choice. He did make sure to defend his box, though. He said it's not a Series X issue. He said it's a choice for Starfield. He said, I trust Bethesda Game Studio. He says, I'm not going to mandate it. So they're kind of letting Todd and the team chase their vision in that way. And it's showing. The reason I bring all that up is I'm okay with it because Bethesda Game Studios is known for meaningful systems and features that have moved the industry forward. But when you look at the scale at which they're doing things and then how good the game truly looks, like I didn't shine a light on that enough. This game looks really good. Not just like, oh, it looks good to play. Visually, it's a striking game. I'm stunned to be saying that because I never cared about that from BGS games. But the fact that it's easy on the eyes also makes it a little bit easier, I'd say, to stomach the 30 FPS because that's, again, typically not Bethesda game studios of yore. That's just, their games were kind of ugly in some ways and they were sort of janky, but they just had the charm of freedom and choice. Now you got all of that and you look good. People know that it has to, even, I would say, I shouldn't say even the most clueless of gamers because Twitter proved that wrong, but most people have been able to piece together, okay, with all of this, there has to be a cost somewhere, which is what no one wants to hear, especially from a bunch of Xbox hosts. You're probably thinking we're trying to defend it, but when you look at how much is jammed into this game, you can't tell me they're not looking at some sacrifice somewhere. If I got to pay 30 frames for everything else, absolutely. This is not just a former live service shooter, now co-op shooter that's barely hitting the right frames in the first place. This is an ambitious open galaxy game.
What I see is a lot of the bad faith comparisons. And the only thing I will say, when it comes to the sacrificing for scope is I will say, okay, if you were to go character model, like NPC character model, they got the old school Bethesda hair, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And certain NPCs look way better than others. I will give you that. You know what I'm saying? I will definitely give the detractors and say, oh, this doesn't look that next gen. But then to compare it to something, and again, I don't want to call out any specific game, but to compare it to any other platform's next generation hub world style game that is hyper realistic, but is set in these little hubs and they have these loading screens where you slide between things. That's bad faith comparisons, bro. Like, you're not in the same playing field. You're playing in the kiddie pool. You're not doing all of, we're at the ocean, my guy. Like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's levels to this. So we're going to stop with the bad faith showing some game from back in the day and be like, I can't believe we're not doing that. Because at the end of the day, again, the only people I give a pass is if they come to me and they say, Cog, I do not really care for the Western RPG, the Bethesda style game with all this choice. I just want a hyper-realistic narrative style game that's more limited in scope. And that's me, right? If that's your bag, if you're just a hashtag just one guy and that's all you care about, no doubt, God bless. There's nothing I'm going to say to convince you. But if you love games and overall gameplay and you love RPG and things that push the genre forward, and Bethesda games, all of them move the culture. None of these other games, you can't compare it. That's when you know. When there's no single game you can say, what game has this, and this that Starfield have. You maybe get 2 of the 50 in your game. We can't talk. There's levels to this. So that's where I draw the line at. And for the people who, are coming at them for the 30, I get it. Yeah, you want them to push it farther. I will say this, for the stability aspect and for what they're doing, I understand what's going on here, but if it bothers you that much, bro, get it on PC. Get it on PC. If you just can't deal with it, it's just unbearable at 60. I remember I did that at one point for Destiny. I was like, all right, Destiny 2 wasn't ready to be 60 frames on Xbox One X. And then I got it on that because I just couldn't bear it. But for me, in this case, because this game does have combat, but I don't consider it a Twitch shooter where I have to be so precise, or there's a PvP element where I got to be competitive with the 60. Really, I feel, this is more exploratory and the frontier with combat mixed in all of this greatness and all these other systems. And show me the game that got space combat and planetary travel and procedural generation and get back to me on that part. I'm sorry. I got to get him, Maddie, because it's like I don't mind the rhetoric.
I'll
and
happily let you do it this week. It's usually me.
A lot of the rhetoric is just jersey wearing. You wearing a flag that has a color. And no matter what they do, you going to try to downplay because you on the other team. That's all this is. The same people that was hoping for this game to be on that other flag and that other color.
I have seen a lot of, I don't know if you want to see some, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put it, some uneducated takes. Just read the Starfield Instagram, bro. They're like, well, you're abandoning your fans on PlayStation. I'm like, that shit was a done deal at Skyrim. Like, you were abandoned then, my friends. I don't want to sound like an asshole too much. Like I'm cheering exclusivity. I mean, I think it's a necessity to the platform, but
Right.
But Bethesda Game Studios and Xbox have gone hand in hand for an extremely long period of time since Morrowind. So
yeah, we've talked about the organic nature. And again, we just got to, as gamers, stop with the disingenuous, bad faith takes. It's okay to celebrate something and say, hey, man, that's pretty ambitious. That looks pretty cool. And the reality is, no one's really playing this small echo chamber, no mind, because the sales and the hype speaks for itself. So
it's going to do really
BGS, do your thing. Keep doing what you do.
A couple of things I want to fly through here. Phil has said that Todd and the team didn't show everything in the game. Kind of got an indication of that at the end of the direct with a little force power, I'm guessing. Maybe there's more to it, though. Matt Booty says, and this is the one we got to stop on, it's being Starfield, would be the least buggy Bethesda Game Studios game of all time if it were released today. That, I don't know if Xbox understands how bold of a statement that is to make. This is the company that earned a nickname because of the jank in their games. Bugthesda is a name that exists solely because of Bethesda Game Studios and the bugs that launch with their games. And we've loved them no matter what. 76 was the backbreaker. It was like, nah, this is too much, y'all. But we love them no matter what. Now, he said he's looked at the bug reports. And I said in my video, I'm going to say it again, Matt Booty, Phil Spencer, Xbox team, if you end up listening to this, please be prepared. And if you must delay because of it, then so be it. Please be prepared for people to size this up and check you on this, because they will. Because not only is it the most enormous Bethesda Game Studios game, but it looks like the most likely to have bugs because of its scale, which makes sense. Very bold claim to make here. Your thoughts, Cog?
Yeah, I don't know about this one. I was just going on a rant about respecting it. Look, we know the history. You said it well. With a game of this scope, we said it on the Dukes. The only fear is from a technical standpoint, right? Do the systems mesh and work well in unison so that there are not major quest-breaking, story-breaking, graphical, destroying features that would ruin the experience to the point where it would affect the rating of the game, right? Mm-hmm. And look, we do know that they've been, the rumor is it's been done for about a year. And
we'll get into that. That's the big victory lap I've been sitting on. We will talk about that. Please continue, sir.
No doubt. I'll leave that for you.
No, go on. Sorry, no, I was just saying. I was getting a little hyped. I got ahead of myself.
Oh, okay. No, I thought you had balls. I thought you had balls ready. Yeah, so it's like, I think that if you've been sitting on it a year, and this truly has been the polish phase, because remember, 11/11 was supposed to be a thing, right? So that shows a level of care. We heard the rumors that, Phil gave Todd and the team more time, right? Look, that's an ambitious statement. I wouldn't put that out there. That's just Cog. Based on the history, based on the scope of this seems like never before done kind of stuff. Yeah. So I wouldn't put that pressure on the team, but it does.
Like, I will say this: audience declare that. Let them say that.
In defense of Matt Booty's not really outside like that. And he told me to my face, he was like, a lot of people get mad at me that I'm not on social media more and I don't speak more. And his words to me were just like, yo, I'm managing 23 studios. I don't have time to talk to people. You know what?
I respect that. I respect that.
I respect that. I had a really good talk with him. It's my first time ever meeting him in person and talking to him for the good extended amount of time. And that was what I guess. So if he's saying that, I mean, it is a chest out moment, but I'm with you, Maddie. I wouldn't say that. I would let the game do the talking and let it release and go ahead. But hey, if you're calling your shot, you better land it.
Yeah. id Software had help with the graphics. Apparently there's a rumor in May that they'd help with the shooting, but Todd clarified that and said it was the graphics, which we just talked about. You can see they've been massively improved. And there's even shots of, I think it's Oculus City from 2022 to 2023. This game saw a massive visual upgrade. So it really showed in a positive way the difference a year can make. Todd Howard said most of his play for the Starfield has been on the Series S, which I do find, I mean, obviously he's not going to be like, man, that shit ran like ass, but, I do find it a little bit encouraging because this is the console that they're selling as a new SKU alongside the launch of the game. So I think that's good. The file size of the game, this is probably why they did a new SKU. 125 gigabytes. So when you do the little OS installation and then Starfield's the game you picked it up for, if you did it on the base Series S, you're probably a couple hundred gigabytes at most. And that's all chewed up from one game. So
and we haven't counted expansions.
There you are.
That will eventually be coming.
Updates and all that stuff. So yeah, makes a little more sense now, doesn't it? And plus with their other games, like I can't imagine Hellblade 2 is going to be a generous download size. I just can't. With all maybe they cut the combat, right? They cut the combat, then maybe that's what they're doing. That'd be smart. It was revealed that when you connect your Starfield controller to the console, that you unlock a new Xbox theme. So there's also that. And this one, I'll explain myself a little bit. I gotta get into a little Maddie history lesson on this. Phil Spencer said that the release date was originally significantly earlier from the November 11th, 2022 release date before Xbox sat down with the team and said to give them the time they need. Now, I'm going to try to be nice about this because I get how people felt. But I did say for a long time, and I had a pretty good authority, I was like, Starfield was looking to come out in 2021. And when, I'm not going to say who, members of the press chest out were like, no, that shit was never happening. I was kind of bewildered by that because I was like, where the hell did you hear that from? And how are you all so certain out of complete nowhere once it got shut down? And so when Phil says, hey, this date was from the one we set was significantly earlier, that was them giving, the reason they put that date out there, that was them giving Bethesda Game Studios what they thought was enough time to finish the game at that point. To them, at that moment, that was the ideal date. Like, yeah, that's why Todd said it's in ink. It's far enough out. The reason I say all this, and I read an interesting comment, and, we see plenty of comments, and it's fine. Someone said, sometimes Maddie's got a big chip on his shoulder. And I think that's fair. I actually think that's fair to say about me. I think sometimes I let some people win a little bit more than they should. But it's mainly because of what Cog and I said last week, which is I don't need the apology letters at all. I don't care. But it's more so that we're trying to conduct an environment where the same energy for call outs should be the same energy we get when things are right. And this was something that I'm taking my lap on because I had people dragging my name in the mud online. Matt thinks he's an insider. I still don't. I will never claim to be one. But this was something that I had on good authority. And to see this was validating. I was like, oh, so it was. Because I'm sorry, I don't care what Schreier or whoever the hell else has something to say about it. The fact that Phil was like, no, it was significantly earlier from that date.
From the source.
Was, to me, just extreme affirmation to see that. Doesn't matter at the end of the day, no, which is why I said I'm going to try to be like, it's whatever. I don't care. But was it validating for me from an informational standpoint? Like, that was to me my big L. I bent the knee. I put the public apology out on Twitter. I was like, hey, I was like, my bad. I really thought I had it. I guess I was wrong. I bent the knee fully. I took the egg on the face. And I don't regret that because I don't want to do wrong by my audience. And if I thought I got it wrong, then that's it. But I think
that's real man. That's real man stuff.
But, to see this, it was like, oh, okay. So there was truth to that. Now, does that mean that was the ideal date? Probably not. What we're seeing now is likely the ideal date, November or September 6th. Sorry. But I had to highlight it because to me, these are the things like I'm not looking for it actively. Like, I don't care, but we are not in this space of like, I'd say sports does this where like people will circle back around, but like kind of give you the massage. Like, you know what? You were right that whole time. There isn't that energy in gaming. It's like, I got to circle back around and be like, all right, y'all, I was right. Not because I have an ego. Many people already knows about me personally. Like, it's not the type of person, that's not how I function. It's not about looking the best, being the best, although I want to try to be the best. It's just about information in this game here, and your accuracy of from predictions to scoops like this is really everything, because anyone can turn on a microphone and sit down and do this show. But to me, I thought it was really important to stress this fact here.
Nice.
Just not to rub it in. It's not the energy I'm trying to carry here.
But
no, I'm not, because again, I don't want to rub it in because it doesn't matter long term. Like, okay, it's more so just, again, so people understand, like, there was a time period when I fucked up, like OG Mr. Matty viewers will know this, like 2013, 14, if I made a mistake, like I was always the guy to come out and apologize. Like I don't have that kind of ego where I'm above it. Like if I feel I've really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, I have no problem at all apologizing in a genuine manner, like, and meaning it. That's never been an issue for me. And it got to the point though, where like people are like, yo, you're apologizing for everything, bro. So people know that's the type of person I am. And that's how I carry myself, not where I'm apologetic about everything, but as I gained my confidence and as I started to step out of my comfort zone a little bit, I have to affirm myself a lot more. And so I try to take my L's less, because it's like, it's got to actually be an L. This was one of those that it's like, okay, we got to polish the Mr. Matty plaque a little bit here, just a little bit, because this was something that was on the record and was true, and makes me wonder about information other sources were getting this whole time. But that's a whole other conversation. You seem like you have some thoughts, so fire away.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you reminded me about that. I actually forgot about all of this for a little bit.
I think that was you hosting too. So I remember you were sending like a supportive tweet to me, and so that was so nice. But
2021, I remember reaching out to you, and I was just like, bro, appreciate you, stepping in front of that. And, obviously it was a multitude of people, not a multitude, but there was a couple of people who I remember, who had maybe one or two other people that had information similar. And I remember it was a drag fest. It was really nasty on Twitter and, social media. And these guys don't know anything, yada, 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 and the mockery and all that stuff. And real men like yourself get in front of it, take it head on. You took the apology, but you went from what you knew was a legit and reliable source, and you put your name out there, right? So to see it come full circle and to see you are actually right, and to see it come from the source where Phil validated, no, it was going to come out that year. We gave them, I think of it in two ways. One, clearly it validates you. And where is the, aforementioned people who slander thy name? Of course they're not going to come out and say nothing. Now, that's how this thing works. People are so quick to jump in the comments and disparage, right? But no one's quick to come out with the same energy. It's like the player who gets wrongfully accused of something, right? You don't see the energy for the media for that. Yo, we were wrong. He's absolved. He's absolved, y'all. Yeah. He's clear of murder charges. You know what I'm saying? Or attempted murder. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't see none of that. That person has the scarlet letter, they're stained forever, right? So that's the funny thing about this industry. But the second thing I wanted to highlight in reference to your redemption story was also the fact that it is interesting that Phil and the team's closeness in the pipeline and getting in there with Starfield.
Yeah. Certain other games got left behind.
Shows you the hierarchy in Bethesda Game Studio, because clearly Todd's phone calls were answered and his check-ins were checked in. And they told him, like, nah, fam, you need a little bit more time with that one. Let that one cook a little bit more. You go ahead. We will eat that. And I thought that part was very equally interesting.
Double-edged blade reveal right there. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was like, Harvey Smith is just deadpan. He's like, dude, you fucking kidding me, bro?
We was hoping y'all cancel this joint over here. Y'all out there giving up a time.
Yeah, like Phil swings in for the check-in, sees Redfall. He's like, it's great, guys. And Harvey's like, yeah, it's great. Yeah.
There's levels to this thing, man. But the beauty is, like you accurately predicted, you know what I'm saying? Redfall had crawl, so Starfield come up. And I think that's what happened here, man. It's clear as day when you hear things
there is a favorite child in the building, it seems. And if it's not clear now, then I don't know when it will be.
Facts.
That's all that's going on with Starfield, though. We move on to Activision Blizzard, unless there's more you want to throw in about Starfield.
No, we good.
All right. The FTC is now seeking to file an injunction to block Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. What this means is that the FTC is attempting to restrict Microsoft from closing the deal for 2 weeks while they await results from their legal challenge. First off, the FTC says, quote, both a temporary restraining order and a preliminary injunction are necessary because Microsoft and Activision have represented that they may consummate the proposed acquisition at any time. Press reports began circulating, suggesting that defendants were seriously contemplating closing the proposed acquisition despite the pending administrative litigation and the CMA's orders, end quote. Meanwhile, Brad Smith spoke on the matter via his personal Twitter account, saying, quote, today's action by the FTC to file the suit in our Activision case in federal court should accelerate the decision-making process. This benefits everyone. We always prefer constructive and amicable paths with governments, but have confidence in our case and look forward to presenting it, end quote. Meanwhile, Bobby Kotick says that they found this FTC's latest move a welcome update and one that accelerates the legal process. So there is excitement across all the buildings like, yo, you want to put us in front of the judge? Okay, let's do it. So they want it. And what's interesting here, and I'll pass it to you, this was a move made by the FTC because this is going to be a dangerous combined Duke victory lap. Don't let it happen because I will read comments too. I will read them live on air. This is done out of fear that they may move forward without the CMA's approval. Cog, your thoughts?
Like I said, funny. I don't claim to be a legal expert. I'm not Hoglore. I'm not Foss Patents. I'm not any of these guys. Once Cog changed his mindset to political, everything started to make sense. And clearly, the talk was, right, we did hear, oh, we're going to close without them. We don't care what's going on. Injunction, stop, stop. Mm-hmm. The funny part about this is Microsoft said, yes, great, yes, please do. Please do. Let's get in front of the judge. Mm-hmm. This part is funny to me. So again, the talk is, right, that they get in front. Maybe, the concessions are had, the faces, get saved, and maybe that gets happened, or they feel confident enough that let it go to trial, let it go to whatever, and we have substantial evidence to potentially smash you in court. I don't know. All I know is it's interesting the way Microsoft is reacting. You would think that this injunction would be like, oh no, they're trying to restrict us. We're in trouble. And they're like, yes, we welcome that. We can't wait to go to court. So it's a different type of energy. Look, I will say this. With the Xbox Showcase positive energy, with the momentum, with everything now going right. This was one of my predictions as far as 2023 being a great year, and I anticipated for Xbox. You now, let's say, what are we? June now. Let's say August, September. You figure out a way to close this deal? Bro, now you're talking again that magical kind of year and the infusion, the influx of the Activision Blizzard games into Game Pass. Now you're talking a momentum that listen, it could shape up. We'll see what happens, but it could shape up for them. But I'll be monitoring from a distance to see the next chapter in the series that is the ABK, because it is hilarious. It is hilarious.
Yeah, obviously it benefits them to get in front of a judge, and if they can fast track the U.S. approval, I'll be very keen to learn what the next step is if the CMA refuses to comply. Because you mentioned politics. Mm-hmm. The CMA had met with the FTC 26 times to discuss this acquisition. Interesting. Is there some political
rumors?
Some political stuff at play here, Cox? Some collusion, if you will.
Yeah, I heard rumors. I mean, I don't know what to believe, but you hear rumors about someone who had an influence in the decision making on the CMA side, potentially being, someone who had Sony's best interests or was a former law. It's so much.
Yeah,
bro. This is like an episode of, remember that show 24?
Oh yeah, my dad always makes fun of it because the dude rode inside the tire of a tractor trailer at one point, and he's like, "I'm inside a tire."
Bro, you don't know what's going to happen. CTU is infiltrated. You don't know what's going on. This is the episode 24. I just look up and see where is it at next. We going to see. We're going to see how the politics shake out.
Indeed. that is it for your news for the week on Xbox. Very jam-packed week. We move now into our Game Pass pick of the week. Cog, you have this one, sir, and an unexpected pick to be sure, but please inform me on this game.
Yeah, I owe Xbox Game Studios an apology, man. There's this one Xbox Game Studio that, like, I like them. I got respect for them, but I was embarrassed that I've heard of this game, but I never played it. And Double Fine, you got to come to the front of the congregation. I apologize. I did not know. I didn't know what you were dealing with back in the day. This was Kickstarter day, Double Fine. And the name of the game is called Massive Chalice. I've never played it. I've heard about it. Shout out to Addict, because when I booted it up, it tells you like your friends who have played. I'm like, Addict knew about this. He didn't even tell me. Like, this is turn-based tactical strategy heaven. Almost.
It's not what I expected. I'm looking at it now. It's not what I expected.
Bro, this game holds up. First of all, the way it starts is absolutely hilarious. This is Double Fine writing and voice acting to the highest level. You could see the early Psychonaut sensibilities. You could see the early sensibilities of Double Fine and the charm of them. So you start off, there's like this religious war, this war going on, and these enemies, and then it's like, don't worry, player. Like this, it's half serious in a very thoueth dothist kind of thing, but then it's really funny, like where it's a voice actress who's like one god and this other one who's another god, and then basically you have to establish these forts and protect the kingdom from these enemies. So it's classic turn-based, but get this, permadeath everywhere. You can't heal characters for the most part on the battlefield. Also, they have their move sets, their skill sets. And the thing that really sets it apart is the different class styles and the leveling up. But where it goes to the next level, Maddie, is at the end of each battle, it's the bloodline system. So it's like, okay, you establish a fort, and it's like, okay, you now have, when you establish a fort, that person, you now have to take them off of your roster, off of your team, and create a kingdom. And then you got to wed them with a suitable partner. And then their children can have traits of some of your best characters. So you got to, bro, it gets deep with the skill progression, permadeath, and then the base layer with all these different things you could do. Then they got this monastery thing where if you build that increases your accelerates your building process. There's certain things that, but then if you make that person, they cannot, they're like in the priesthood, they cannot do anything. Every person, regardless of success, living or dying, will grow old and die. And then you have to have their successors, because they all have their ages and stuff like that. And then there's this thing like, okay, so let's just say you got this guy on the battlefield. He's one of your best archers or whatever, right? You take him on mad missions. And like, because basically when you accelerate time, it goes in years. It doesn't go in like minutes and stuff like XCOM. And when you do that, let's just say, he was bodied, he was killing. So he dies of old age, but then, his weapon, Fate Killer. They call like it becomes a bloodline weapon because of his heritage and what he has done. And then these get extra bonuses. And bro, this game is fire. Like
it reminds me a lot of Wildermyth in a way.
Yes. So it's classic turn-based, but with a little bit of RTS top layer sensibilities, but simple enough that you're not overwhelmed like a Age of Empires or whatever. Bro, play this game. My only complaint, Double Fine, I got the Ally. Why is this not on PC Game Pass? Bro, I want to play this on PC Game Pass. I'm forced to be on. So I might have to buy it and see if it's somewhere else.
Logitech G Cloud streaming action, maybe?
Yeah, it should be. Because does G Cloud work off a regular Game Pass or does it work off PC? We got to find out.
Oh,
but
yeah.
If
you can remote
PC,
play is what I'm saying.
That's true. Because it's the only thing. PC Game Pass. I realized the PC guys have been shortchanged for a few games. They don't got MLB The Show either. You know MLB The Show is a console Game Pass exclusive. Yeah, there are some. So remember when Xbox guys used to be like, man, the PC guys get everything. Yo, I'm now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, yo, they get Game Pass got console stuff that we ain't got. So it's funny.
That
but
was
no,
a problem
bro.
for a while. I remember Outriders was only on consoles. Yeah, there was a lot of only console things. I guess some things don't change, I suppose.
Yeah, there are some things, but I will say again, long view strategy. You have to plan ahead. And your you know what I'm saying, your lineage and that kind of stuff, and the characters you build and the relationships you make. And then, like I said, the whole bloodline mechanic, it's very hard. I mean, I would say it starts off decent, but it gets very hard. I will play this game. It holds up. And the thing about it throughout the entire game, I'm talking about while you're in the battlefield, they're talking to you, voice acting all the way, art style, really cool. You pick your bannerman, bro, it's cool. Massive chalice. I am a big fan. I didn't know this was the game I needed. And as a turn-based guy, I'm embarrassed that I haven't played this. So Double Fine. Salute.
Yo.
Yeah, I did that. Big fan.
Awesome. Gotta check that out. So that's your Game Pass pick of the week. Massive chalice. It's time for one final question, and then we're out of here. This one comes from David Markham. Howdy, Duke. Hell of a showcase. 2024 is shaping up well with 11 first-party games we saw at the showcase. I have a question for you both. How many developer directs will we see in the next year? Much love from David from Ireland. Thank you, David. We appreciate you. Cog, I thought this was just a good little, let's take a shot, because we have yet to fully understand, I think, the cadence of what a developer direct is for Xbox. As in, is this for whenever a big game comes around? Are you going to do it for third party ever? Are you going to do these often or not? Is this like your state of play? I don't know I think it's going to create its own identity. And it's not necessarily going to follow the same path as anything. I believe we're going to see it more frequently, though. Based off what Booty had said previously, right? That for each of these games, they should be getting one. That probably puts it up to at least 3 or 4 next year if those games land. But, that seems like a lot when you think of the production value going into it. So I wonder where they compile some and then spread some out. But I'm going to say in that 3 to 4 pocket would be my guess. But maybe we see far more. What do you feel?
It's tough because of the release windows, right? We know, well, based on what we know right now, Hellblade 2 and Avowed appear to be 2024 scheduled.
Yeah.
Fable we thought, but now we're gonna assume 2025. So we figure, right, that both of those need developer directs on some level. The only question I have is if they try to pull a top of the year first half one like how they did this year, where they combine
nice.
a few, right? So if they have a bunch of smaller games surrounding, let's just say we assume Hellblade is top of 2024, right? So if you have a bunch of smaller games and then you have Hellblade at the end, I guess the only thing which separates it from me going to the 3 and 4 where you are is, I'm gonna throw this question back to you. Do you think they pull the combination double feature again if Avowed is the second half of the year game? Or do you think that Starfield was so special, it was a one-time, one-off thing that they wanted to get the crowd back and everybody back on their side because they knew they had something? Then, you know what I mean?
I was thinking about it today, too. It's so funny you asked that.
Again?
Yeah, it's so funny you asked that. It really was on my mind. And because I was thinking at first I went, maybe they don't do that because there was a degree. I don't know if anyone would agree with this, but Starfield, by halfway through Starfield, I was starting to feel kind of overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not used to this. There's so much shit to take in, where it was almost over my head and I needed the rewatch, which is a great problem to have, but maybe not if you're Xbox. So I'm thinking what if they split it up? But then I'm like, what if the showcase is ass? Then it's you got the direct to fall back on, and these two are tied together no matter what people say. Oh, if it wasn't for the direct, it's no, it's part of the whole showcase. It's in that window. I feel maybe not to the size of Starfield, but I feel the double feature is a thing you do because it creates a spotlight around a particular game and sort of makes it the almost marquee game of the year. This year you got Hi-Fi Rush, you're getting Forza, you got, I should say, Redfall. But Starfield gets the big spotlight. And next year it's like, yeah, there's Hellblade, there's Avowed, but we're going to base it all around Fable, let's say, which I could see them doing because there's that genuine enthusiasm. And so I imagine if something's ready to get that extensive showing or it's something they really believe in, I think they should do that. But it really can make or break part of their showcase experience, which is the dangerous play. But I think it gives their showcases an identity. So I'm going to ultimately say that I think the double feature becomes a thing. I think it does, especially when you get all the other publishers involved. I feel like to have one game that you can kind of count on to stand head and shoulders above the rest in marketing, that's kind of a good thing to have. And maybe this is the start of that. If they want to have at least 4 big games a year, I think you could at least imagine one will be shown off extensively over the summer. That would be my guess. But the problem is, how do you make that call between, let's say Fable is in that 2024 conversation. How do you make that call between Fable, Hellblade, and Avowed? I don't get it. I don't know how you do that because they're all super important in my eyes. Fable has the legacy though, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on it.
I think it's fluid. I think it's depending obviously on development cycle, who's ready, where's they're going to release, right? So that we know now that they're giving people time, right? We clear as day, as far as that. So if I had to guess, my guess would say they may back to back it, but I don't think every year they'll do it. I think they'll do it when they know, like for example, Hellblade is clearly a game they feel confident about, regardless that I'm a little upset with Ninja Theory right now with what they did. They showcased this game with the Series X. They showcased it again, and they showcase it now. So, one would think that developer direct is. So I could see them, stay tuned for the Xbox showcase and then the Hellblade direct or whatever, because they feel so confident about what they are about to show from Ninja Theory. But there's a part of me, and it's gonna sound weird because I'm the Black Rock. There's a part of me that's like, I don't know if they do it with every game like Avowed or every game like, not saying Avowed ain't worthy, not saying that, but I'm not saying that. But I don't know if they do it with every. I think they want to pick and choose. I could see it like maybe in 2025, like say if Fable was ready, I could see something like that. But I don't think every year. My gut will be the years they do it, two directs. You know what I'm saying? One at the top, one as a combo. And then the year that they don't do it, I can see like a 3 directs when they get close to each release. So I think it's fluid. That's where I'm going with right now.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. But just when like, okay, we're going to do a summer showcase and okay, we got like 2 big exclusives. I think this is where the power of the direct can really shine through. And you could really just go in on information for any of these games. And I imagine these developers probably want that kind of platform, right? Because there is that excitement. That's the thing. They have a platform people actually want to engage in and they're actually excited about. It's not any of these other experiments they've done that have failed miserably in the past. Like this is their showcase platform and they finally get it. So I almost feel like they're going to use it as much as possible.
Yeah, you could be right. And like I said, it could be the new, just the new wave. And I got to give credit to them because, again, Bethesda really set the standard and showed you how, look, I got to give Xbox their flowers. I've dragged them for years on bad presentations of their flagship games, from Gears of War, where they showed the weird Kate face, and then they didn't show gameplay, but they showed some 3-player mode. You know what I mean? And, obviously we came from the Craig era, to see Bethesda do that in that new style with developer direct. And I'm a guy that likes when they go to the studio and I see the staircase and I see the great, the places where they actually built the game and they're talking and I loved it. I loved and I think they know they got the pocket. And one thing about Xbox we've heard historically, they don't like to follow everyone else's flow.
No, they don't.
They like to add their own. Yeah, they like to add their own spin. And to them, yeah, like this fits them. Like this is a high level production value kind of energy, and you're gonna come to the studio. We're gonna film and show, and I think they got their pocket. So yeah, I think this is something moving forward.
I think Hellblade 2 undoubtedly gets one just because with the documentary stuff they're already doing, it just kind of fits. Like they already do that stuff. They just gotta show gameplay now. So
yeah, facts. Yeah, they've been in that Ninja Theory UK studio. They can't wait to go back in there.
The cameras on and everything for sure.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, that's every writing, every bit of news that we got for this week's Defining Duke and Xbox podcast, chock full of really exciting stuff where it's a good problem to have, but like I always think about what am I going to name these episodes? And it's just like so many things to pick from.
It's funny we got games now. We don't know how to act. We don't know what to do. Now this show is massive. We got so much to talk about. We used to stretch. Remember when we used to stretch it when it was?
Yeah, bro. There were times where like, what are we going to talk about this week? I mean, who knows? We may enter that drought come July. I imagine we're going to be like crawling for something to talk about. Like, Todd, give us a new trailer or something, please, bro. But nonetheless, dude, great episode. This is a lot of fun, man. It's nice to. I'm sure everyone listening to our show can relate. It's just nice to have lots of content to talk about. It's nice to like, when we thought of this week's DDU, we're like, oh, that's like, bang, we can do that. We don't have to like do mental gymnastics. It's significantly helped the flow of our show. So thank you to Xbox for finally delivering the goods. And certainly we now have content lined up for a long stretch of time. So Cog, that's it for us. It's time for the hashtag.
Yeah, what we thinking? I mean, you used the word content 3 times.
I did, didn't I?
But we could go whatever, unless you had something else. You got something more spicy.
Again, I don't know what I'm going to center this episode around. There's so much good stuff.
Bro, it's a tough one. There's so much, right? It's literally so much.
I'm going to have to really get into my YouTuber bag for this one. I'm going to have to do the champagne treatment. Be like, bro, we'll talk about everything. We'll see. We could we'll do content DD because it literally is that. Yeah, it really is
so much, bro.
So we have so much to talk about. And we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say on it. So fire away on Twitter. I'm at GT7 Status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. You can use the hashtag content DD. Let us know your thoughts. If you don't want to go on Twitter or any forms of social media, we get that. Use the comment section below. Hashtag comment DD. Let us know your thoughts on how we did. And
content.
Yeah. Content. We love that.
No, I thought you said comment.
I said comment.
My bad. No, my bad.
Content DD. Content DD. Thank you, Cog. And as always, mobile reviews. They help a lot. Thank you so much for supporting us. Patreon, all that stuff. We appreciate it. And with that, Cog, any closing thoughts?
Another banger, man. This is a great time. Good for everyone who's rocking with us. Good to see people who are in the LSM community, who are not in the Xbox ecosystem, get excited. This is the stuff we were hoping for. Shout out to Xbox for doing their thing and giving us good stuff to talk about. Let's keep it rocking, man. These are the golden years of the Dukes now. This is supposed to be our era now.
Watch out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you have a decent week, and we will catch you next time for episode 129 of Define Duke and Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.